begins Wednesday night and will continue all the way through Sunday, and they will greatly impact Broadway, Korean Veterans Boulevard, 6th Avenue, and Commerce Street. That's the latest news. We've got weather, we've got traffic, and we've already got some issues due to some wet roads still existing. So stand by. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. I-40 westbound at Fessler's Lane, we have a crash. Also 24 eastbound at the Antioch Pike overpass, a wreck reported. And the left shoulder, it is blocked along with part of the left lane due to a stall on the west loop. That would be I-40 westbound at exit 208. North of the city now, just coming in, a stalled vehicle. It's got the right two lanes fouled up on 65 northbound near exit 98. I'm Jay Harper.
Hello, kids. Broadcasting from the surface of the sun. I couldn't get through it. Dadgummit. Let me try it again. Let me try it one more time. Hold on. I'll get it. Keep that music up.
You want to restart?
Yeah, can you do that? I want to restart it. By the way, my name's Matt. Hello, just hold off. All right, here we go. All right.
Follow me.
Thank you. What is up, gang? Broadcasting from the surface of the sun. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy to have you with us. It's 7 minutes past 3 o'clock, and a good afternoon to you and yours. You might be thinking to yourself, Murphy, it's not that hot outside. Well, come on over to the studio. If you'd like a sauna-like atmosphere, we'd love to see you. In all seriousness, we kid because we love. It's all good. It'll be just fine. Everything's A-okay. The last thing you need, especially if you're outdoors workers, you know, the last thing these people that work, that bust it in the out of doors on a daily basis, the last thing they want to hear when they turn on their radio is some pampered, ne'er-do-well, goody two-shoes talk show host complaining about that it's 98 degrees in this studio. The last thing you want to see, the last thing you want to hear
Here's the thing, Matt.
is that sort of thing. Hi.
We are indoor cats. Those are outdoor cats.
That's fair.
We're indoor cats.
That's fair.
And we like the indoors.
We do. We like the indoors.
And I'm sweating.
And frankly, and to your point, Jackson, I mean, were the indoor cats or dogs offered an opportunity, or were the outdoor cats or dogs offered the opportunity to be indoor cats or dogs, they'd probably take it. But they're not offered that opportunity very often. So here's what I have done, and we'll see how long it lasts. Anybody on the YouTube chat, anybody on the super text line want to take loose bets as to when I open this door? What do you think, Jackson?
I don't know, but I did it. I did it with you. And
did you?
Yeah.
It's already, it doesn't take long, does it? So just to give you a peel behind the curtain, and once again, things happen. I mean, obviously, nothing lasts forever. Nothing is permanent in this life. But apparently, it's an annual, AC, whatever is going on. Our air conditioning here at the studios, the Friendly Confines, just on the dead end side of Music Row, our studio air conditioning has gone out. And we have a lot of equipment, and it's a lot of heat generating equipment. And so in this studio in particular, you've got lights, which I have toned it down. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, you've noticed that it's a slightly lower light level than it normally is. That is because of the heat that these lamps emanate. And then we've got a lot of different computer systems and monitors and screens and other types of lights and whatnot, which generates a generous amount of heat. How are you doing over there in the control area? How are things feeling there, Jackson?
sweating. We're sweating. We're sweating a lot.
Yeah, the first thing that Chad Benson said to me when I walked into the studio is, "My feet are sweating." I was like, "Oh, that's not good." No Ken Weaver. He must have gotten word about the AC. Ken Weaver absent today, a little under the weather. But Jay Harper's back in News Closet B. How's the News Closet, Jay?
Oh, it's really not that bad in here. I got the fan going, the door open. It's okay.
You
Not
want
that
to
bad.
you want to get in on the loose bets as to when, at what point during the 4-hour radio show I open this door?
Matt, you are a Southern boy.
Uh-huh.
You grew up in the South where it's hot and steamy and sweltering much of the time.
I did.
So I can imagine that you can survive it for quite a considerable amount of time.
Man, I was hoping he wouldn't say that. See, I was hoping you'd go the other way so I wouldn't feel bad when I opened
No,
this door.
I got faith in you. I'm thinking, all right, 3:45.
No, I can make it to 4 o'clock. I think
You think you can make it 4?
I think I might need to. We have a guest today, by the way.
Oh, okay.
In-studio guest.
Yes.
Senator Jack Johnson is stopping by the studio to talk about the decision last week by the Tennessee General Assembly to censure those who caused a ruckus during the special session of the General Assembly, a month or so ago. Charlene Oliver will be among them, and there are a few others, I believe. We'll get the lowdown from Senator Jack Johnson at 4:05, unless he hears this and he has an untimely, truck breakdown or...
I'd just tell him wear a T-shirt. He
Flat
comes
tire.
He comes in here wearing a suit often.
Man, he does.
I'd say today's a good day to come on in a T-shirt. Buddy.
Always Natalie attired, that Jack Johnson. I hope he's listening, and I hope he responds accordingly. I would love to see him in some swimming trunks and a snorkel,
Yeah, flippers.
Yeah, some flippers on. So we got Harper in the newsroom. Thank you, Jay, for everything you do, and thank you for filling in for Ken. Obviously, he's under the weather, hopefully back tomorrow. There's young Jackson, the aforementioned. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible. And I am your humble correspondent, Matt Murphy. It is Monday. It is the first day of June in the year of our Lord, 2026. We're on a lot of different platforms. I try to throw them out at you at the beginning of the show. Get the pleasantries out of the way, if you will. We're on Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn. Those are 3 big-time apps that you'll find us on, but we're on all of them. We have our own Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Download that. Take it wherever you go, however long you wish to listen. It's free to you, free to me. There you go. You can also pick us up on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. The YouTube chat is a crazy place. Go over there and enjoy that. And then, of course, on the good old radio dial, 99.7 FM from Kentucky to Alabama and all points in between. There we are on a 100,000-watt blowtorch. And we thank you for being a part of the show today. Oh, Steve, I'm glad. So Steve just reached out to me. Steve, I am glad that you I'm so glad that you reached out to me because I completely forgot Steve's name. So I saw Steve on Saturday. I mentioned him during the crossover with Chad Benson with the Tennessee Horse Cremation, which is fascinating to me. And hopefully I'm going to be able to connect with those guys and let all of you know about their services. Obviously it's not something we like to think about when our pets, obviously loved ones, but even our pets, and our pets are our loved ones, pass. But this is a great service that I hope to speak about for some time to come. Thank you, Steve, for listening, and thank you for reaching out. I appreciate you. Matt, did you just call Jack Johnson Natalie? No. Yeah, well, I said he was Natalie attired, and he generally is. He and Scott Spiggy seem to compete with one another for who's going to be best dressed as guests of the Matt Murphy Radio Show from time to time. All of these politicians come in here in the suits and their fancy ties and all of that. So we had a big weekend this weekend. Thank you to Brian Wilson for filling in on Friday. It was good to see Brian on Saturday. Brian and Cabana Wife were out at the Glock Store event, and she sold, man, oh man, you guys love those. I'm telling you, I told you those cookies were good, and y'all responded. Cabana Wife sold out, I think it was like 2 hours, and it was a sellout. The amount of people that asked about young Jackson Williams and the amount of time I opened my mouth. Every time I spoke about you, I said the same thing, Jackson. You know what I said?
Something about me not having rolled out of bed yet.
Oh, I told you. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, I guarantee you it was 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 in the morning. I said, I'd bet every dollar in my wallet that Jackson has not rolled out of bed because I didn't drop him off at the radio station until almost 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And that means I got home almost at 3 a.m. Well, no, I got home about 2:30. Mm-hmm. Put me in bed about 3:15 after a quick shower. After you peruse your phone to fall asleep, which you're not supposed to do, but I do anyway. That put me in bed about 3:30. And the alarm went off at 8:15 to get up and head back out to the Glock Store Saturday morning for their big open house event, which was huge. It was absolutely fabulous. And so many people stopping by said, where's Jackson? Where's Jackson? We want to see Jackson. I want to see Jackson. I started to call you. Yeah, and that's what Jackson was doing. You watch your movie this weekend?
I did. John Wick.
I did too.
Don't mess with his dog, man.
You know what? It sets up by the way, spoiler alert. What a jerk.
Came out 12 years ago.
What a jerk.
And hopefully you watched it.
Yeah, I saw it. I've seen it like 20 times. What a man, Jack. I cannot believe you just did that. I cannot believe you just did that.
Sorry, the heat's getting in my brain.
But it sets up everything else in the film. Because no matter how many people he kills, you don't care. You know why? They killed his dog. Yeah, they killed his... I mean, come on, man. They deserve it. One in the gut, one in the head. One in the gut, one in the head. That's the way he rolls. We will give a full-throated movie review at 6:35 this evening on our film that we selected last Thursday, which was John Wick. This week, I'm excited because... Are you in on this, my suggestion?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. And I'll buy your I'll buy your movie ticket. I'll buy your popcorn. So okay. Jackson and I are going out for our Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem this weekend because there are enough films in theaters right now that we have a selection, and we're going to allow. I can't believe I'm saying this. We are going to allow the audience to select the movie that we go to. We're going to a movie, and I want to go see Backrooms. There's that other horror flick, Obsession. Jackson's just made a nasty face. There's that, I guess Michael is still out. There's that Star Wars thing with the Grogu or whatever that is.
Nate Bargatze.
The one you want to see is Breadwinner.
Yeah.
What'd you describe it as before the show during our lengthy pre-show meeting? A fabulous local feature.
Yes.
The Breadwinner, and so we gotta get this down to like 4 entries, and we'll figure. And then The Devil Wears Prada too, of course. Who doesn't want to see that? So we'll do that a little bit later on today. All right. I read over the weekend maybe the dumbest article that I've seen in the Tennessean in a long, long time. And I suppose in their defense, it was a guest columnist. But my Lord, this fella is claiming to be a history professor at, I think, Vanderbilt. And he has decided that it's time to change the name of Nashville because of the history of the name. And it is the dumbest thing that I've read and the dumbest thing that you will hear in a long, long time. And we will discuss as the show progresses today. Democrats have decided that they are either all in on character assassination or they're all out when it's their person getting character assassinated, according to them. Right? I find this hypocrisy fascinating, not confusing at all, because I understand where they're coming from. But when the character of their candidate begins to be scrutinized, they start screaming about issue-oriented politics and character assassination and how dare you, and I'm trying to do better for the people of Texas. I'm trying to do better for the people of Maine. Democrats don't want you to look into the character of the individual until it comes to someone like Ken Paxton or, for that matter, Donald J. Trump. And then it's all about the character of the person, not about the policies of the individual that is running for or serving in public office. Democrats are either all in on it or all out. And they will change from moment to moment, day to day, depending on what news comes out about their candidate of choice. The bottom line is this: they desire power and control. And by any means necessary, they will achieve power and control. Democrats are a political party that seem to be annoyed by that pesky Constitution that continues to get in their way to promote and advance the cause of socialism. Tell me I'm wrong. What candidate will they not support? It took Joe Biden nearly having a stroke on a debate stage in order for them to decide that maybe it's best if they hook their wagon to another horse. Now you've got Jill Biden running around embarrassing herself, pretending that she can take two narratives and run them simultaneously, right? One narrative, I have some of these audio clips and I'll share them with you as the show progresses. On one narrative track, she says, this had never happened before. I thought he was having a stroke. I was so concerned about him. It was something that we had never seen before, but we were very worried about his health and well-being. Well, why didn't you take him to the doctor after his debate performance? If you really believed that, why in the hell did you take him to Waffle House and talk about how awesome he was? Well, you know, the campaign and all. Why didn't you pull him from the campaign trail? Well, you know, Joe wanted what Joe wanted, but I was really concerned about his health. I was concerned about his well-being. Well, did you see any of this before? No, he was perfectly cogent. He was perfectly normal. We never saw any of this, but I was worried about... So you're trying to have it both ways, it seems. Jill Biden seemed to more concerned about selling books over the weekend than she truly did about the health and safety of her husband. The fact of the matter remains that they thought Joe Biden was the best possibility to beat Donald Trump in 2024 until he wasn't. And they don't care about the man's health and safety. They thought that Graham Plattner was the best possibility to beat Susan Collins until he's not. They don't care. All they care about is whether or not he can win. They don't care about his character. They don't care about his Nazi tattoo. They don't care about the fact that he bragged. I almost said a word that I don't think I'm supposed to say on the radio. He bragged about pleasuring himself in porta potties publicly. And they don't care. And now we discover that he's on some sort of dating app that is a haven for pedophiles, we are told. I'd never heard of it before. Kick. Have you ever heard of this, Jackson? You're a youngster. You're wise in the ways of the dating world.
No.
Is that, am I saying it right? Kick. Is that right?
How's it spelled?
K-I-K?
Yeah.
I think that's right. I don't know anything about this thing, but apparently Graham Plattner did, despite the fact that he was married. He was promoting himself in a towel, deftly covering up his Nazi tattoo as he posted a photograph of himself on this dating website while married, soliciting and sending nude photos to a variety of different women while married, and the Democrats were like, this is a personal matter between he and his wife. His wife's the one that turned him in. His wife went to the United States, the campaign, the Democratic Party, and said, hey, y'all, you might want to know about this because it might come up. Well, guess what? It came up. And that hostage video that she posted over the weekend is an absolute embarrassment. I just want y'all to know how awful it is that this has come up. You brought it up, lady. So we'll dive into that as the program unfolds as well. We'll talk about the weekend that was in New Jersey. Apparently, the New Jersey State Police decided that they were going to put an end to the Delaney Hall nonsense, and it did end, thankfully. Democrats are desperate for street riots over the course of the summer, in my opinion. We'll talk about that as well. And at some point or another, we'll get Jackson's take on his first NASCAR experience over the weekend. Friday was Jackson's first NASCAR race, and we'll get a full-throated review on that as the program unfolds. 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Obviously, when we speak about King and Associates Insurance, I talk to you about homeowners insurance, talk to you about life insurance, talk to you about auto insurance as well. But I want to spend a moment talking to you business owners for just a moment. If you own a business, one claim against you can cost you everything, and most business owners don't realize that they are underinsured until it's too late. At King & Associates Insurance, they don't sell you policies. They identify risks before they become problems. So whether you're a contractor, a restaurant owner, a growing company, whatever you might be doing within your business, you need that type of commercial insurance coverage, and you need it before you need it, if you know what I'm saying. They build coverage that actually protects your business. Do not guess whether you're covered. Know that you are covered with King & Associates Insurance. 615-329-8121. 329-8121. Remember, there are two types of insurance agencies. One sells policies. The other protects businesses. King & Associates, they take a different approach. They don't quote you anything before they analyze your business, your contracts, your liability, your workers' comp, all of those things. Call them today. 615-329-8121 for King & Associates Insurance.
U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson meeting with President Trump today at the White House. We'll let you know what that was all about. Also, the latest on the case against Charlie Kirk's accused killer. We'll have that coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Many of our super texters suggesting we throw Masters of the Universe in the mix there, Jackson. Huh? He-Man? Yeah, you missed it. Young Jackson has no idea what the phenomenon was that was He-Man, Masters of the Universe with Skeletor.
I'm familiar with Ted.
My power is beyond your understanding. Something Skeletor said one time. Which Jake Johansson, fabulous comedian, I don't know that Jake's still on the circuit. I don't know what happened to him, but I used to love Jake Johansson. He did a bit about He-Man and Skeletor, and Skeletor looking at He-Man. You know, Skeleton was like a skeleton with muscles. Yeah. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about, Jackson? You're looking at me like, are you having
Yes, I'm familiar.
Are you having a heat stroke right now, Jackson?
Maybe.
Okay.
Today was a bad day to wear long sleeves, brother.
Look, I when I got this shirt out of the closet, I put it on based on the idea that it was kind of rainy, kind of overcast, and I thought, well, it's a little hot. I swear to you, I thought this before I found out about the heat, or rather the AC being out and the heat in this room. I thought, well, you know, but it's not like I work outside. I'm in the air conditioning. Not so much. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, He-Man. My power is beyond your understanding. Someone has suggested that we include that in the mix. Maybe we will. You never know. When we return, the dumbest article that I've read in a long, long time regarding the renaming of the city of Nashville. We'll share it with you in a moment. Jay Harper's got the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
31 minutes past 3 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a full forecast and another traffic report here momentarily. House Speaker Mike Johnson meeting with President Trump today about a $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. Democrats have introduced a bill to block that fund from using taxpayer money to pay what they say are Trump and his allies. ABC's Justice Department reporter Alex Mallon with more on the case that started all this.
A judge down in Florida who actually was the one overseeing President Trump's case against the IRS. That judge now, after a bipartisan group of judges submitted a filing asking her to reopen the case, she did say now she's ordering the administration by June 12th to provide answers on whether they committed a, quote, fraud on her court.
A setback for the defense in the case against Charlie Kirk's accused killer, a judge ruling that the public will have access to a preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson. He's the man accused of fatally shooting Charlie Kirk. It's a key hearing where prosecutors plan to lay out the evidence that they say links the suspect to the killing. Defense attorneys wanted the judge to keep the public and the media out of the courtroom, but prosecutors say the public has a right to watch the justice system at work. Here's ABC's legal analyst and trial attorney, Brian Buckmeyer.
Charlie Kirk was a major figure in American politics, regardless of how you felt where he landed on issues. And I think the judge saw that and said, this is a type of case where the public is going to demand transparency, and the best way to do that is to allow for cameras to be in court during this preliminary hearing.
A new cross-border tunnel has been discovered between Mexico and the U.S. Here's ABC's Alex Stone reporting.
The tunnel is about 869 feet long and 21 feet deep, running from Tijuana into San Diego. Mexican authorities made the announcement after carrying out a search warrant at a home, and they say the tunnel has lighting and ventilation. They believe it was a storage, logistics, and trafficking center for weapons, explosives, and drugs. They say methamphetamine, marijuana, and cell phones were found inside the tunnel. Alex Stone, ABC News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. All right, we've got a new issue. This is I-24 westbound near Haywood Lane. I'm looking at traffic cameras here, and it looks like they've got the interstate pretty well shut down right there due to a crash of some sort. Also, we have the road blocked 65 northbound between exits 98 and 104 due to a traffic issue, that up in the Millersville area. And 24 eastbound at the Antioch Pike overpass, a crash reported there as well. I'm Jay Harper.
It's summertime. You know, I know that it's not officially summertime until June, 20th, 21st. But, you know, when June rolls around, you know the heat is here. And it's time to be outside, enjoying your yard, enjoying all the things that Tennessee has to offer. And if lawn pests are keeping you indoors, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply has a way to handle all of those issues. Go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Shop for parts and products and lawn care equipment that keep those lawns beautiful, keep them green, keep them lush all summer long. No matter what the weather might bring, no matter what the summer might bring, they can take care of you at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Plus, 7 Middle Tennessee locations. You're never too far away from one. And online, you go to DickensSupply.com. That's DickensSupply.com. If you stop by one of their incredible locations, be sure to tell them that Matt Murphy sent you into Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Truly, I mean, you go where the pros go. That's what it's all about, right? So you know you're getting the finest quality parts, the finest service available, and the knowledge and expertise that Dickens has to offer. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply online at DickensSupply.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN getting to this interesting op-ed piece. It was written by, I don't know who this person is. Written by Peter Chesney. Peter, well, I say I don't know who he is. It says that he is a guest writer and that he is a historian and urbanist who taught at Vandy and served as its urban studies steering committee head or something or another. Current work include, I guess he no longer teaches at Vanderbilt University, but he's not from around here. He says in the article that he moved here from California and was shocked to learn the history behind the name, behind the city of Nashville. More on that coming up in a moment. Mike is next up, first up this day, on this Monday. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Mike, you are not only the first caller of the day, you're not only the first caller of the week, you're the first caller of the month. How about that?
I like that.
I like it,
It's
too.
my birthday month coming up, too.
I like it. Well, happy birthday month, Mike. Celebrate the entire month of June, my friend. When's your birthday?
June 17th.
All right, that's
It's also my first Father's Day, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, congratulations, brother. How old? Just obviously not very old.
She's just turned 4 months.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Thank
tremendous.
you. I appreciate
Congrats,
that.
brother. All right, what's on your mind, Mike?
All right, well, I called in to give my little hot take. I've heard Chris Hand talk about Iran and a little hot take on it, and I was just, I grew up as a millennial, and they taught us to critically think with all the information that we've been fed our whole life. And I'm thinking about Iran and North Korea at the same time. So North Korea has missiles and nukes, and we kind of isolated them from the world. Well, I don't understand why we couldn't do that with Iran. Like, let them have the nukes. I don't think 90 million people in Iran want to die because the regime wants to nuke someone. I think they would fight back. Just kind of pull out, let them handle their own stuff. And I don't see the dilemma behind letting them have it and see if they really use it. That's my kind of hot take on it. Let's see what happens.
Well,
if they do,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was going to throw you just kind of some facts on the table and see your reaction to them, because I appreciate that take, and there's a faction of very sensible people that say, Iran with a nuclear weapon is no greater a threat than they necessarily are without one. But Iran without a nuclear weapon has been the greatest state sponsor of global terrorism for the last quarter century. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And
so do you think that would
that's
get
a whole
better?
different-
Do you think that would get better or worse if they had a nuke?
That's the debate. That's the $1 million question, isn't it, Matt?
It is.
Would they strap nukes on their chests and walk into New York City and blow up the new trade tower?
No,
That's
I
the
don't.
$1 million question.
No, I don't think that's the play. But here's the biggest difference between North Korea and Iran, in my opinion. Just you bring up that comparison. North Korea chooses to isolate themselves from the rest of the globe economically. Iran has something that is of great interest economically to the rest of the globe, and so they're naturally going to be doing business with the rest of the world, and that gives them a commodity-based influence over how the Middle East operates.
Yeah, that oil, that's something else. Now, do we, at this point, what do? Do we go in and control it? Do we say, hey, America's going to take over, and hey, China and Russia, do you guys want in on this deal so we can just exclude Iran completely and just have the oil split between the three most prominent countries on the planet? Or do we just allow them to, bend us over and do what they do?
Well, and I would also note that another huge difference, and I'm just sitting here thinking about the comparison, another huge difference between North Korea achieving nuclear. I mean, one, it was weakness on the part of the United States of America that allowed that to happen, but it did happen. But and it's we've seen no ramifications from it from a worldwide perspective. But I would also note that Iran is a devout Muslim nation, and I would suggest a radically Muslim government. And based on that radical Muslim belief, I think that dramatically changes how they perceive the rest of the world and what they consider their purpose to be.
And that makes sense. Like, their religion is at most the best. That's it. Period. End of story. They have no debate on that. But is being Muslim or being Islamic even different? So is it Islam trying to take over? Because remember 1978, I think, when the Islamic regime took over in Iran and started making all the women, cover themselves. I don't know. That's where my head goes.
Right. And so they want to bring that religious authority to the rest of the globe. They feel like that's
what I believe too.
Muhammad commands them to do it through the caliphate.
Yeah, we all know how Muhammad was marrying a 9-year-old. But that's just kind of my hot take. Like, I don't know. I don't want to see us go boots on the ground. I think this has lasted long enough. The Middle East has been blowing each other up since I was a kid.
I agree with it. I think we have an economic interest to see that region of the world as stable as possible. We have an interest in tamping down sponsoring of terrorism through Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, as much as possible. I think we have an interest in preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. I think we can do all of those things without continuing to engage in warfare with that nation. And I do think that the powers that be, specifically Donald Trump, is potentially looking for an off-ramp regarding what we are doing, because as I have stated since the beginning of the conflict, the Middle East is like we were told quicksand was when we were kids, right? People think that it's stable and we think that we can get across it, and then before you know it, you're up to your knees and you don't know the best way to get out.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my hot take. I want to see what your super texters text in and say. Yeah. But you guys have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope you call Busy Bee to fix that AC.
Thank you, Mike, for the telephone call. I personally would call Efficient Heating and Cooling and my man Jeff Eddy. I don't know that either of those were the folks that we called, but thank you, Mike, for the take. Thank you for the, I don't think that there's a lot of comparisons beyond the nuclear angle between Iran and North Korea. I just don't. I do think that our president, and I do think the powers that be, are looking for a way out, and I don't think you can negotiate your way out of this. It is Donald Trump's strength to negotiate deals that are favorable for the United States of America, but you cannot negotiate with liars. And the Iranian regime, they are liars. They believe that they are commanded to lie to the infidel for their own purpose, and they are patient in their way of thinking. And that, as well as their religious fanaticism, and our inability to destroy infrastructure that might be crucial down the road to the worldwide oil-based economy, is a dangerous trifecta when it comes to what we're doing over there. We could destroy Karg Island like that, and it would take 10 years to build it back, and it would impact oil for the entirety of that 10 years. We like to believe that we live on a bedrock of civilized society and a bedrock of worldwide economy, and it just isn't. It's more fragile than we want to believe. 615-737-9986. I guess we're doing this right now. I'll hold off on the opinion piece for a moment. David wants to speak on the issue of Iran. We thought we had a deal. I mean, I frankly, by the way, David, before you talk, I frankly, just so y'all know, I am not buying into any sort of we got a deal, we don't have a deal, we got a deal, we don't have a deal. It's a game of whack-a-mole. And until I see tangible evidence that there's action on the ground that demonstrates that there's movement, I just don't see any reason talking about it. David, with that said, with that in mind, what's on yours?
Well, I have to respectfully disagree with your previous caller, and you mostly touched on it. With the difference between Iran and North Korea, or pretty much any other nuclear-armed state, is that they believe in the principle of mutually assured destruction. People who firmly believe that God is commanding them to bring about Armageddon so that they can hasten the return of the Mahdi, those aren't people you want handing out nuclear material to their terrorist proxies. It doesn't have to be a nuke. It can be a radiological device. It can be anything of that nature. But I grow tired sometimes of listening. Well, they're not that big a deal. in my mind, the threat of radical Islam is every bit as serious and insidious as the threat posed by China and all the things that they do with our culture and how they influence stuff that goes on in our country. And that's just and now that we are where we are in this conflict, I think the only way out is through. And if that means that we have to blow up Karg Island and figure out something else in the meantime to take the pressure off, then I think that's what we need to do. But the sooner it's over, the better. And obviously, it needs to end in our favor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it would be very favorable from an economic standpoint to blow up the oil infrastructure. But I understand why you feel that way, because that is a better option than laying down boots. I can't believe that we're at a place, and David, thank you for the telephone call. We're now at a place where I'm not going to intellectually change my position on these things because the occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has changed. And I said from the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict that my concern with Biden at the helm is that he would be beholden to the military leaders and the vast military-industrial complex to the point that he allowed the sale of munitions, the sale of arms to Ukraine to the point that we would begin training exercises with the Ukrainians. And then before you know it, we have boots on the ground over there. And before you know it, we are ultimately acting as proxy for the Ukrainians fighting the Russians. That was my concern. And thankfully, it did not happen. And I think before it could have happened, America pushed back on the idea of new foreign conflicts, of new, what are known as forever wars. I hate the term, but that's what a lot of people use. Well, now here's Iran. And we were told by our president on the heels of Venezuela that this would be similar in its nature, a little bit different because of the positioning, a little bit different because of the circumstances. But, it's a 6 to 8 week campaign. It's a bombing campaign primarily. We'll get them to their knees. I believe the expectation was that the Iranian people would rise up in a fashion that we saw in January, to the point that you would see new leadership in that region of the world, and that leadership would be more moderate and more consistently stable and less apt to fund and or arm and or support terrorist regimes around the globe, causing harm to the United States of America and many of our allies. And sadly, a lot of that didn't materialize. And instead, we have a frustrating situation in the Strait of Hormuz. We have an Iranian government, new government, I suppose, new boss, same as the old boss, that recognize that they have a little more power in the Strait of Hormuz than they originally thought, and we have to squash that, and we have to do so with them knowing. So we walk into this thing with one of our hands tied behind our backs because they know we've declared no boots on the ground. They know that we have elections coming up in November. They look at that as a weakness on the part of the United States of America. So they believe that if they can string out whatever negotiations they're willing to engage in until summer, late summer, early fall, they win. I'm looking for a victory strategy. That's what I'm looking for. I want to win. I'm hopeful that we can. I don't, and I've said it from the beginning, and a lot of people have given me holy hell about it. This is not me being anti what Trump is doing. It's not me being anti-military. It's not me being naive and, refusing to recognize the real and present threat that the Iranians present themselves. I'm just trying to figure out what victory looks like, and have been for the last 3 months. Which is why I'm not going to come on the radio and every single moment of every single negotiation try to pretend that I know what's going to happen at the end of said negotiation. Because I don't, and you don't either. Because A, we're not in the midst of it. B, we're not privy to all of that information. And C, we have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. We're right to be concerned about it because it's impacting us. When you go to the pump, you can obviously feel it. That's my take on all of that. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy, and I love talking to you about Kraft Body Scan. Let me talk to you about you fellows, because men, did you know you're significantly less likely to seek preventative care than the ladies? And you know, CDC data shows that men are about 33% less likely than women to visit a doctor regularly, and many wait until symptoms become impossible to ignore. Preventative care works best before symptoms appear. Early detection can help identify heart disease, for example, lung abnormalities, and other serious conditions sooner when more treatment and lifestyle options are available to you and your family, which is why, ladies, I'm going to beg on you for just a moment. Get your man to Kraft Body Scan. Let's do this today, because that $99 special is continuing to run. It's a couple's heart and lung scan. Your fella's not going to initiate this. Ladies, I need you to initiate this, because the men in the audience, they just aren't going to do it. Kraft Body Scan can give you that peace of mind. It's fast, it's easy, and it's less than $100. All you have to do is go to togetherwescan.com and put in promo code MATT50. togetherwescan.com, promo code MATT50, or call if you have any questions whatsoever, 615-436-1000, 615-436-1000. Tell them I sent you to Kraft Body Scan.
It's 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a weather forecast, and another traffic report. They are on the way. The stalemate between Iran and the U.S. continues. Iran's semi-official news agency Tasnim, they're saying the Iranians have stopped sending messages to the U.S., while President Trump, he's saying the U.S. could go silent on the Iranians, but he's also saying that talks are continuing. So which is it? Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
Some mixed messages from the president saying that he didn't care if the negotiations were off, that the United States could then turn around and go silent on the Iranians. But now he is claiming that talks are moving forward quickly. I do think we need to caution here that the president in the past has also put out messages like this when we've seen oil prices spike on news that the talks were not going well, potentially as a way to try to throw some optimism in the conversation. But for now, the president says they're on. The Iranians have said they're off.
The Justice Department, they're saying that it will abide by a federal judge's order to hold off, at least for now anyway, on plans to give out up to $1.8 billion in an anti-weaponization fund. ABC's Stephen Portnoy, he reports on this from D.C.
A social media post from the Justice Department says officials strongly disagree with last week's ruling by a federal judge in Virginia temporarily freezing the fund pending a hearing she set for the end of next week. The department says it will abide by that ruling. That as more congressional Republicans express their opposition to the idea of handing out up to $1.8 billion of taxpayer money to those who've been accused of or convicted of crimes.
Now, Florida state officials, they have filed a new lawsuit against OpenAI, claiming the company is putting profits over people. ABC's Mike Dubusky reports.
Florida's Attorney General alleges OpenAI doesn't do enough to prevent harmful or criminal behavior on its platform, and that puts children at risk. State AG James Olfmeyer cites instances of people using ChatGPT before acts of violence, including last year's shooting at Florida State University. In response, OpenAI told ABC News it already has safety measures in place to redirect people to mental health resources if it detects them going down a dark path, adding it's committed to getting this right.
That is the latest news. We've got weather and traffic coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. A new wreck popping up, I-440 eastbound just past exit 3. That's the Hillsborough Pike exit. But I tell you, 440 actually looking pretty good once you get past that. and you get over toward I-24. Wedgwood Avenue at 8th Avenue, a crash. Up in Madison, Gallatin Pike South at Webster Street, we've got a wreck. Also in Madison, Gallatin Pike South, just south of East Old Hickory Boulevard, a crash reported. And finally, out in Williamson County, I-840 eastbound between exits 37 and 42, a crash reported. I'm Jay Harper.
All right, broadcasting from the 6th level of hell. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I kid. It's a joke. These are the funnies. We have to joke. We laugh to keep from crying or sweating to death. We really couldn't cry because we don't have any moisture in our bodies because the AC is not working right now in the upper echelons of our otherwise palatial studios here at the butt end of Music Row. And before I introduce our next guest, I'm going to tell you a little story about what just happened. So our next guest happened to be listening in the first hour of the show. And if you weren't, we made mention of the fact that the AC has gone out. And, these things happen from time to time. And hopefully we've got efficient heating and cooling on top of these things or whomever they've called. I would recommend efficient, but I don't know. I don't control things around here. So my guest, a name who will be known to all of you once I introduce him. We get into the lobby area, and he goes, "Man, it's cool in here." I said, "Yeah, this is downstairs. Just wait." And then we went up the stairs, and we're walking through the hall. And he goes, "Oh, this isn't so bad." And I was like, "Just wait." And then we walked into the studio, and we went, "Oh, yeah, now I got it." Senator Jack Johnson joins us on the show, and you're braving the conditions, and I appreciate that, Senator.
Well, I have a blazer, a blue sports blazer in my car, but I heard you talking about the studio, so I opted not to bring the blazer. So,
I was hoping you had
normally
some
I dress
swimming
up
trunks
for you.
Swimming trunks and pool noodles is what we need.
Well, I wouldn't come in here wearing that. But speaking of efficient, they're coming to my house on Wednesday based on your recommendation.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, need a little work done on the old home HVAC. It hadn't quit working, but my son was out weed eating, and he said, "Dad, have you heard the air conditioner over there, the racket that it's making?" And I went over and listened. It doesn't sound good.
No, that's not good.
Got efficient coming out on Wednesday based on your recommendation.
I hope. I cross my. I know they've got a lot of texts. But if you get Roger, tell him I said hello.
Okay, good.
Roger's the guy that had to deliver the bad news in Mount Pleasant to me. I don't know if you heard the story, but
you needed the whole kit and
well, they got us through. I'll tell you what type of folks they are, and I'll just go ahead and give them a plug. They got us through the ice storm, right? I mean, we were having problems before the ice storm, and Roger said, "All right, I'm gonna patch this,
Band-Aid,
spit and shoestrings, until we can get to the other side of it." And then we got to the other side of it, and he had to deliver the bad news. It was a cracked heater body, but hopefully they are invested in making that thing work. So I think you'll get good results.
Well, I'm excited to have them out, and it's this time of year. Truth is, my wife and I had an event. We had probably 30 people at our house. It was about 90 degrees outside, and I hadn't really noticed anything. But when you get 30, 35 bodies in your house and it's hot outside, it started feeling a little warm, and I went and checked the thermostat, and it was set on like 72, but it was 76, and I thought, ooh. And then my son told me about the racket, so we better get something done.
That's what happened to us. Like 3 weeks into our new house, and this was the opposite. Where I was cold, and the house is set on like 68, and it's 60. And you're like, come on, let's go. And, so these things happen. 35. So at what point would I make the cut? Like at about 100? Or, I'm talking about invitees to your home.
Oh.
So I'm just wondering, I'm not in the top 35. That's fine. That's all good.
Hang on. I think I had a little event at the factory 6 months ago, and there were about 1,000 people there, and you were the master of ceremonies. So I mean, come on.
Go.
And you did a great job, too.
You're not going to ask any of your real friends to work. That's what you give me.
No, I'd be honored to have you at my home.
I would.
And so would my wife. You know, she's a big fan of Nincompoop. So.
I'm a big fan of the judge, and I think of her every day, Monday through Friday. I do. I really do, because I think of her when I'm reminded that I need to pay off.
You need to tell the results. People are waiting. I mean, she'll leave me hanging at an event, while I'm standing there at the check-in table.
Got to find out who's king of the poops.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So last week, we didn't hook up last week, but I invited you on last week, and you're gracious enough to come on today with regard to some of the activity. We expected that this would happen. I want to catch everyone up that might have missed some of this. We had for those who missed it, I can't imagine that you did. It was all over the national news. We had a little special session in the state of Tennessee.
We did.
Utilizing the recent Supreme Court decision and making the decision that perhaps certain, and this is the way I look at it, Jack, tell me if I'm wrong, that in the past, perhaps certain congressional boundaries had been drawn based on racial demographics, based on, the demographics of certain areas versus other areas. And in repair of that, we redrew the congressional districts to better reflect the overall state of Tennessee. Is that a fair way of putting it?
It's a very fair way to state it. And as a result of it's referred to as the Calais, I think I'm saying it right, Calais Supreme Court decision, case out of Louisiana that came down, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and basically did upend kind of what had been long-standing court precedent relative to drawing congressional maps. And so, as a result, President Trump called our governor, and our governor called us into special session, and we addressed that matter.
And as you might expect, and you, Cameron Sexton in the House of Representatives, just about every other lawmaker that I've spoken with were very plain spoken about the direction that you were taking. That it was your desire to best reflect the will of the majority of the people, and to do your duty, and to draw 9 Republican majority districts.
Well, you're right. So we have 9 congressional districts in Tennessee, and we want to maximize our partisan advantage. That's what we want to do. Tennesseans have spoken loudly, not only in state house and state senate elections, gubernatorial elections, certainly the presidential election in 2024, that Tennessee is a very conservative state. Therefore, we should have 9 congressional districts that reflect our conservative values, and we have those now.
And as you might expect, and look, I never faulted, and I said at the time, I don't blame Democrats for being upset. They're in the super minority. It can be frustrating sometimes when you're in the super minority. You gotta, you would think you kind of suck it up and try to play ball as best you can to try to advance your agenda as best you can, even in the super minority. They decided not to do that. They decided to, in my opinion, act like children. I think it's a fair assessment, no matter who you are, both in the House and in the Senate. Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the House, announced that there would be some punishments coming out. I talked to you at the time that announcement was made, and I asked you, do you expect that the Lieutenant Governor, in his role before he retires, would be making an announcement? And you said, yeah, I think leadership's going to talk, and we're going to figure this out. What happened?
Yeah, so we had some conversations, and I think that our Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the Senate, Randy McNally, in very typical fashion for him, very thoughtful, very reasoned, did not want to overreact, but certainly recognized that some action needed to be taken. And he announced that last week with some decisive, very tangible action against what we believe to be the most egregious offender in terms of violating Senate decorum, and that's Senator Charlene Oliver. She is the one who stood up on her desk and was waving a sign and a banner of sorts. As I've said previously on your show, it was a gross violation of the sanctity, the integrity of our legislative body. And the Speaker took decisive action in that regard. And for the other 5 members, they received a warning, a very stiff warning. And it's certainly my hope that as we prepare to convene the 115th General Assembly in January, that those types of annex will no longer be tolerated.
And so what happened last week at the direction of the Lieutenant Governor will not reflect on the 115th. That's a new session, so kind of a new day and a new opportunity for our friends in the minority party to
kind of mind the rules of the body?
I hope so. And you're right. That's an accurate way to state that. We have completed the second regular session of the 114th General Assembly, and unless there's another special session, which I don't anticipate there will be, we will not convene again until January, when we convene the 115th General Assembly. We've got elections this November, and so the actions taken by the Speaker will certainly continue through that time, and then we'll have new leadership in the Senate. I hope I'm a part of that, and we'll have an opportunity to hopefully speak with our Democratic colleagues and reach a mutual understanding that those types of antics will not be tolerated in the Senate, and hopefully no further action would be needed. But if they insist on continuing to violate the decorum of the Senate, then certainly we'll need to follow up with more action.
As you have served as Senate Majority Leader, obviously that has with it any number of duties and responsibilities that go above and beyond just sitting as a state senator. Were you to be honored to become, is it Speaker of the Senate? Mm-hmm. The title Speaker of the Senate, which is also Lieutenant Governor.
Correct.
And I know we've talked about this in the past. That is something that you would be very much. I mean, you're applying for that job.
I am.
With your colleagues.
That's correct.
How do the roles? What are the duty changes between Senate Majority Leader versus Lieutenant Governor?
Yeah, so Majority Leader, which I've had the honor of serving in that capacity for the last 8 years, 4 General Assemblies, 4 two-year General Assemblies. You're a member of Senate leadership, so you're involved in many of those leadership decisions. But more specifically, you sponsor the budget, you sponsor the governor's legislative initiatives, assuming you see eye to eye with the governor. And for the vast majority of the time, under Governor Bill Lee's tenure, we've seen eye to eye. There have been a handful of times we didn't, and we had to work that out, or I did not introduce the legislation. But for the most part, we've done some really good work working together. The Speaker of the Senate, much like the Speaker of the House, has a lot more responsibility. They appoint committees and committee chairmen, all the staff of the Senate, our legislative assistants, our research analysts, our legal team. They all serve at the pleasure of the Speaker. So it is a lot more of an administrative role, if you will, much like being a CEO of a company. There's a lot of those types of decisions that have to be made. But that certainly includes, in an instance like this, because we're not in session, the body as a whole cannot take action against those Democrats who violated the decorum rules of the Senate. But the Speaker certainly does have authority year-round to do certain things, and I really support Lieutenant Governor McNally's actions that he took.
I'll tell you what, I want to ask you about a couple of specific issues going on in Williamson County. One of them you and I were talking about right before we came on air, which is this leakage. There's apparently a sewer leak that's going on in Williamson County. I want to discuss that, how confident you are that these drawn lines are going to pass muster from a judicial standpoint, because I know that is ongoing. Amongst other things, elections coming up. We've got Jack Johnson in studio with us. We'll be back in a moment. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville want you to get out to see them, friends. If you're in pain, if there's anything causing that pain, I promise you, Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley and the rest of the team will work tirelessly to eliminate that pain in a more natural fashion than popping pills, than getting shots, or considering surgery. Sadly, sometimes surgery is the only option, but it always should be the last option. You should exercise every other opportunity at your fingertips to alleviate that pain, because surgery is a dangerous thing. Well, at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they keep up in the most modern techniques. Both spinal decompression, the Epic Spinal Special continues at the Wellness Institute, $33 off every visit, $33 off every visit. Just mention the Epic Spinal Special when you go by or when you call. They also have the HydroWave technology, spinal decompression, which they've had for a long time. It's such a wonderful healing opportunity that I utilize that eliminated my lower back pain. And now the brand new Medical Bay 1, which is an invention of Dr. Kevin Mitchell that utilizes almost futuristic style technology and medical practices to alleviate your pain. It's all at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and at your fingertips at painisbad.com, painisbad.com, or call 615-246-5009. 246-5009. They have my seal of approval.
U.S.-Iran peace talks, they're going nowhere fast, it seems. We'll have the latest on that as well as your closing money news. That's coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Jay Harper. Looking forward to that newscast coming up in about 7 minutes or so. Senator Jack Johnson, currently the Senate Majority Leader for the General Assembly in the state of Tennessee, is in studio with us. It's a hot show. I mean, it's a hot show. It's hot. As our good friend Dusty Slay would say, it's a hot show today, and it's just going to get hotter as the afternoon goes on. I became aware of this. One of our loyal listeners sent me this story and asked me to ask you about it. Mm-hmm. And I was unaware of it, and I asked you, and you said you are aware of it. And I'll just run this down for those who have not heard about it. According to, and I'm just reading from the article, News Channel 5, scientists say E. coli levels in samples taken from a sewage leak in the Limestone wastewater treatment plant in Williamson County's Grassland area have been maxed out. A small plant has racked up more than a decade's worth of fines and citations. Williamson County engineers on site and are considering issuing citations for the company for the leak, pending more information and test results. Neighbors, and obviously neighbors are saying that it's bad. And for more than a decade, researchers and residents have reported leakage that has been flowing into the creeks and the neighboring rivers. So what can you tell us about this story?
Well, horrific would be an appropriate term of this situation that's taking place in this Grassland area. I'm very familiar with it. We've had conversations with the Public Utility Commission here in the state of Tennessee. They're very aware of it. Department of Environment and Conservation basically have a system that was installed and built back in, I don't know if it's the 70s or 80s, but decades ago. And as I'm told, it's not been properly maintained and has reached end of life. It should have been dealt with long before now, but it's reached a crisis level. And it's affecting it's affecting people that live in that community. Now the system has been sold. There is a new owner, and there have been lots of public hearings, and effectively the system is going to have to be replaced. That's going to take some time. They got to figure out how to band-aid the situation that's going on now while they build a new system. And the county commissioners down there, who I'm good friends with, I've been on a number of calls with them. One thing that I was able to do was to get $4 million in our in the upcoming budget through the Tennessee Public Utility Commission to help offset the expense of replacing that system. So it's when you get rain and you get a lot of water like we've been having the last few days, it makes it even worse. So it's a really bad situation.
I mean, would it not make sense? You mentioned, utilizing $4 million in taxpayer resources. Would it not make sense? And are we in the process of determining who's at fault? Because I would think that even if you mentioned it's been sold, mm-hmm. So if it's the previous ownership, could we potentially recoup the amount of money that it's going to cost?
That's a great question. That's a legal question. I don't know if litigation has been considered or pursued, but it's of small consequence, I think, to the folks that are living there and having to deal with it, and we have to get that system replaced as quickly as possible.
So you mentioned that a new company has taken over, so they're invested in modernizing the situation.
That's right.
To your knowledge, were they aware of what they were walking into?
Well, I'm sure they do a certain amount of due diligence. I think they probably had to know that the system was in bad repair. I don't know if they knew exactly how bad that it was, but our folks at TDEC and, again, the Public Utility Commission, the Williams County Commission are very aware of this situation, and I know steps are being taken to get that system replaced.
And for anyone in that area that has concerns, do they go to Tennessee Department of Environmental Management or?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, they can call my office,
sure.
Of course, and be happy to get them. But there are a lot of different stakeholders involved here, from a permitting standpoint through the Department of Environment and Conservation. The Public Utility Commission is the rate-setting authority that determines, and they have authorized some rate increases to help offset the maintenance that needs to be taking place in the short term. Then, obviously, there's got to be a long-term solution to get that fixed and put a system in. And here's the scary thing, Matt, is that we don't know how many of these types of systems there are out there across the state, and there could be others. So certainly I know TDEC is highly aware of this and very much on top of making sure these systems are being properly maintained. And when they are failing or close to failing, that steps are being taken to get them replaced.
Quickly on the circling back, if you will, to the redistricting front before we talk about data centers after the news. I would imagine, based on the fact that the legislative body was in you guys drew the lines. I would imagine that you're confident that judges in good standing in the state are going to confirm that the new lines will move forward in August.
Yeah, so there have been a number of cases or lawsuits that have been filed. Some of those have been, but what has not happened heretofore is a temporary restraining order or an injunction to stop implementation of the new map, and that's a good sign for those of us who would like for the new map to remain in place. And so I don't know that we're completely out of the woods from a legal standpoint, but I think we're getting very close to that. And every day that goes by, from a practical standpoint, it's less likely that they would undo the new maps, make us go back to the old ones, because almost all 95 county election offices have made the necessary changes to their voter registration, and they're ready to let people vote with these new congressional districts.
I was going to ask. I mean, you're obviously in communication with the Secretary of State's office, and Trey Hargett is confident. I mean, everything's 100% go?
Looks good. And in fact, we appropriated, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact amount, a fairly significant amount of money to be set aside to help offset any expenses incurred by our county election commissions. And I know in some counties they've been having people work overtime to update the maps and the precincts and get voter notification out to voters, letting them know what their new congressional district is. And as far as I know, that's all going to be done well in time to have an election on August 6th. Early voting starting on, I think it's July 17th for these new congressional maps.
Are you uninvited to congressional cocktail parties now because you redrew these guys? I mean, well, and look, I pick, but I mean, I understand that you get to know your district and you get to know the people of your district, and in a very real way. I don't take anything away from people like Scott DesJarlais or whomever it might be. I mean, John Rose is not so impacted because he's running for governor.
That's right.
But you take away
Matt Van Epps was affected heavily.
Well, look at Johnny. I mean, Johnny Garrett is running for the 6th congressional district. He's all in, running against Van Hillary, and now a lot of his core in Sumner is no longer in his district, which I can understand how that would kind of just throw a wrench in your plans.
Well, as the book said, we moved their cheese. I mean, we did change some things, but it was the right thing to do. It was at the request of President Donald Trump. It's going to be better for America and help us hold on to our Republican majorities in Washington. So I think it was well worth the effort.
All right, we're going to talk about the very real, or at least perceived, boogeyman of data centers in just a moment. Jack Johnson's with us in studio. If you have any questions, throw them up on the Super Text line. I'll ask them. 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 4:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Stand by for a forecast and another traffic report. The stalemate between Iran and the U.S., it just keeps on keeping on. Iran's semi-official news agency saying the Iranians have stopped sending messages to the U.S., while President Trump said the U.S., they're probably going to go silent on the Iranians, but he's also saying that talks are continuing. Huh? Well, ABC's Karen Travers, she weighs in.
If he really didn't care, if he wanted to go silent on the Iranians at this point, it doesn't seem like he would be scrambling to get the Israeli prime minister on the phone and then touting with great fanfare, as he did in that post, that he got both sides to agree right now to stop the attacks on each other.
A setback for the defense in the case against Charlie Kirk's accused killer. A judge ruling that the public will have access to a preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson. He's the man accused of fatally shooting Charlie Kirk. It's a key hearing where prosecutors plan to lay out the evidence they say links the suspect to the killing. Defense attorneys wanted the judge to keep the public and the media out of the courtroom, but prosecutors say the public has a right to know and a right to watch the justice system at work. Here's ABC's legal analyst and trial attorney, Brian Buckmeyer.
Charlie Kirk was a major figure in American politics, regardless of how you felt where he landed on issues. And I think the judge saw that and said, this is a type of case where the public is going to demand transparency, and the best way to do that is to allow for cameras to be in court during this preliminary hearing.
Let's turn now to today's closing money news on this June the 1st. For that, here's Michelle Franzen.
Even as oil prices begin to tick up, all three major indexes managed to close in the green to start the week, with the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also hitting new intraday highs. The Dow ended the day gaining 0.9%, with the NASDAQ up 0.42% and the S&P 0.26%. In the battle of fast food, McDonald's unveiled a new global strategy for their stores to increase satisfaction and bring in customers looking for the best value for their buck. Some of their improvements include increased automation, menu innovation, and improved customer service in an attempt to redefine hospitality for consumers. Artificial intelligence company Anthropic is now one step closer to its goal on Wall Street, confirming Monday it submitted a confidential filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for a proposed initial public offering of its common stock.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We picked up a crash now, Jefferson Street, just west of 10th Avenue North. Up in Goodlettsville, a wreck, Conference Drive north of North Creek Boulevard. Also, Gallatin Pike south of East Old Hickory Boulevard, still working to clear that wreck. 440 eastbound, just past the Hillsboro Pike exit at exit 3, we've got a crash. And also another one just popping up in Antioch, 24 eastbound, just past Hickory Hollow Parkway, and in Lebanon, 40 eastbound. At Highway 109, that's exit 232, we picked up a wreck there. I'm Jay Harper.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for USS. That stands for United Structural Systems. Boy, have we had the rain. I mean, obviously, we missed out on a lot of rain at the first half of the year, but we're making up for it now, are we not? And USS recognizes that if you're seeing ponding or pooling of water in basements or crawl spaces, this can be a dangerous sign. And when they come out to your house, you're getting problem solvers that are going to look at the situation, look at the symptoms, and figure out a plan of action, a plan of success for you. If you have foundation issues, if you have waterproofing issues, these things can manifest themselves in any number of different ways. I mentioned water pooling, musty, moldy smells. These are certain signs of water issues getting into your home. You need to eliminate those as quickly as possible because water's tenacious. It will hurt the foundation of your home if left unchecked. That's where USS comes in. USSTN.com. It's USSTN.com. Now, the number is 615-488-7855. You can give them a call, too. But start your journey at USSTN.com. They are your local problem solvers. They understand Tennessee. They're not here to sell you something. They're here to correct an issue and help you sleep better tonight. USSTN.com. Someone needs to bring Jackson like a fan of some sort because he is I think when you're hungry and you get mad, you get hangry. What is it when you're hot and you get mad? I don't know, but Jackson is it. I'll tell you this. I can't solve the heat problems, but I can solve your bug problems for you. At least I know the people that can, and that would be JK, Erica Brister, and our friends at US Pest. US Pest is simply the one and only that I'm going to recommend to you. When JK and Erica took over the company years ago, they've grown it by leaps and bounds. They hire good people that do you the right way. Their purpose is very, very simple. It's not to sell you contracts. It's to eliminate the bug issues that you have in your home, because that creates a lasting and long-standing relationship between themselves and their clients. So when you see the U.S. Pest truck coming down the street, you don't have to worry about the hard sell. You have to, the bugs have to worry about getting eliminated through U.S. Pest. Full-service pest control with a 100% money-back guarantee. Termite protection, 100% money-back guarantee. Crawl space services available as well. Friends, call them and get them out for a free pest and termite inspection today. If you have a company you're not satisfied, if you're worried about fleas and ticks in the yard, whatever your concern, uspest.com. 590-1260 is the number, 590-1260 for US Pest. You know, something just occurred to me, Jackson, and this is inspired by you. I think the General Assembly would serve the people of Tennessee a lot better, a lot more efficiently, if we were to cut off their AC and make them meet in like June or July.
You know, they say one of the worst things that ever happened to the United States of America is when they put air conditioning in the Capitol in Washington. Because our framers wanted the Washington legislature and Congress to be part-time. And now it's full-time. And a big people in Washington would go up in the winter. You know, it's easier to heat a building than it is to cool. So they could go up during the winter and they could meet, and then they'd go home, because you don't want to be in Washington, D.C. in the summer, swampy and humidity and everything. So, but now they're up there year round. And by the way, we're out of session and we won't be back until January. So
have you made your way? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you love going up to Washington and hobnob. I pick on Jack a lot. So have you been down and seen the old Senate baths, the marble baths on the Senate side? Have you never seen
I've been to the Capitol and I've toured, numerous times, but I've never seen the old Senate baths.
So the Senate is ornate, and I mean, relatively speaking, the House is a beautiful, don't get me wrong, the old school House, but the Senate is over the top, and it's over the top because they were willing to spend the money, because they weren't elected directly. They were elected by their state legislatures back in the day, which I think should be the case right now, but that's another story for another day. Well, I got a chance to go down, and they had the Senate side, the House side, no, but the Senate side had these beautiful, ornate baths, like Grecian or Roman bathing areas, sauna, and there's beautiful tubs. And I'm like, what were they? And they're like, if they had to stay over, it would get very hot, and they would come in here to cool off.
Yeah. We do not have those in the Tennessee State Senate. We do not.
I just think a lack of AC.
We do have a shower in the gym in our office building.
Well,
I think
nice.
there's one shower over there, but no baths.
Line of senators and reps out the door waiting to get in the baths. Data centers are a hot topic on talk radio, hot topic around the state of Tennessee, around the United States of America. And I'm a little so I guess I asked the question recently, what exactly are data centers? And I suppose it is a physical manifestation of what we know as the cloud.
Right.
It's a storage and processing facility. Should we be concerned about data centers in the state of Tennessee? Are you concerned as Senate Majority Leader?
I am on a couple of fronts. Number one is utilization of power, because these data centers utilize enormous amounts of energy, electricity. I had the pleasure of touring XAI, which is the X data center down in Memphis. And it is a very impressive facility, but their challenge is getting the necessary amount of power. And then you also, and as you know, there's been a lot of discussion about not driving up consumer electric rates because of the demand placed on the grid by data centers. Now that segues into a conversation about small nuclear reactors or modular reactors, which I do think are part of the future of powering some of those data centers. The other is usage of water, because they generate enormous amounts of heat, and so they have to run water through all of these, these computers, and I don't know how it all works, but you have to use a lot of water. But they are part of our future.
We're doing a little microcosm of that in the studio today, right?
Yeah.
We're demonstrating how much heat can be generated by like 3 computers. Now, multiply that times 100.
That's actually very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Or 1,000.
Just fill your laptop sometime, or if you have a PC or something, how much heat it generates. So imagine when I toured XAI, literally hundreds and hundreds, I guess thousands of these servers just stacked up, and just rows and rows and rows of them. And to store data, in that case, it's AI and processing all the AI stuff. But you're right. We all have these phones, these devices, and we're storing stuff. And just imagine how much content, just imagine how much stuff is being put on YouTube every single day. That has to be stored somewhere. So data centers are a big deal. And you got to deal with the power generation and what that means to your electric grid, and then also where the water's going to come from to cool it.
All right, so it's a delicate question, because conservatism dictates that your government is only serving the government serves the people the best when it only serves when necessary.
That's right.
Is there a role in the General Assembly's approach to these data centers potentially coming into the state of Tennessee more so than they're already here?
Well, I think that's evolving. I think there may have been a time when there was some excitement about generating that and creating jobs and that type of thing. But there is some real, I think, legitimate concern about proposed data centers in various parts of the state. And people are asking very fair questions. Where is all the energy, all the electricity required for this data center? Where's that going to come from? And is it going to cause my electric rates to go up? That question needs to be answered. And I do think there's potentially a role for the General Assembly to play in terms of making sure that ratepayers who are just trying to power their homes are protected. And I think there's potentially an environmental concern relative to water usage and where they're going to get the enormous amounts of water that it takes to cool these things. Now, those are questions that maybe can be answered ultimately, but I think that those are fair things and things that have been brought to my attention as we contemplate the future of that.
I mean, I'm spitballing, but it would occur to me that could you not just change the mechanism by which certain businesses are paying? In other words, if they're going to suck and create such a demand off the electrical system, should they not pay a premium in order to do so?
Yeah, no, they can and they should do that. But, Tennessee Valley Authority, which is where we get virtually all of our electricity in the state of Tennessee, they're having trouble keeping up with the demand of just ordinary businesses, businesses that want to come to Tennessee and want to expand and just keeping up with the demand on that. That's why, again, Oak Ridge and what is happening in outside of Knoxville in the Oak Ridge area relative to nuclear power is so incredibly important. And Tennessee's going to end up being, I think, on the forefront of that.
Are we ready to start small modular nuke? I mean, where are we? I mean,
I'm told,
let's go.
Yeah, I'm told we're very, very close. And in fact, there are, I think, some functioning operable SMRs, as they're referred to, in Oak Ridge. Now, are they ready to be transported and put just outside of a data center so that they can get all the power they need from that SMR, and they don't even have to tap into the grid? And in fact, they may have an SMR that generates additional power that can be put into the grid to provide additional power for normal usages. So that is all coming very soon. I'm not aware of an SMR that's been deployed out just yet, but they're getting very close to that, I'm told.
I remember I told you, I don't know if I did this on or off the air, but I told you, I said to Jack, if it was off the air, I'll say it again. So I said, Jack, there was some issue that I wanted to talk to you about that I think we're going to argue a little about, and I can't remember what it was. And dang it, Senator, you're off the hook. I remembered it. and you might agree with me. I don't know. I'm kidding, of course. Help me understand at what point we stop giving multi-gajillion-dollar corporations money for the benefit of moving into the state when Tennessee is already one of the most attractive states in the United States of America in terms of taxation, employment opportunities, et cetera. Of course, I'm referring to the Starbucks deal.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for acknowledging we've made Tennessee one of the most competitive states in America to own and operate a business. We've created a great regulatory environment, tax climate, businesses and companies do want to come here. You're referring to incentives through our Department of Economic and Community Development. Stuart McWhorter was on with Dan Mandis.
I believe he was, yes. This morning.
This morning, yeah. And Stuart did a far better job than I could do. Look, here's what it boils down to me with Matt. It's all about ROI. I'm a business guy. I've owned businesses. I've run businesses. I've been part of big businesses and small businesses. And if I can demonstrate to my constituents, they may not agree with it, but to me, if I can demonstrate to them that if providing a $30 million incentive for a company like Starbucks to come to Tennessee, and if that gets them to come here instead of going to another state, and they're going to have a $250 million a year payroll, 2,000 jobs at about $125,000 a piece. 90% of those are going to be hired by people right here in Tennessee, kids graduating from college.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. And if they don't, by the way, we have clawbacks.
And the state never gets that money back, by the way, but go ahead. I mean,
I would
y'all just
disagree
don't.
with you on that. I would disagree with you on that.
When have you gotten a callback from a business?
Well, Stuart McWhorter could tell you. He said, Dan Mandis asked that very question this morning, and he said they have had to go and claw back from companies. They have to look at the balance sheet, make sure they have the resources.
And you get that money back to the taxpayers, do you?
Well, it comes back to the general fund. Absolutely.
Never gets back to the taxpayers, but whatever.
Well, it comes back to the general fund. But look, Matt, if I can demonstrate that the ROI to the state of Tennessee on that investment to get them to come to Tennessee and generate 2,000 jobs at $125,000 a year, $250 million a year payroll, and what that's going to generate in terms of tax revenue. You like the way Tennessee is because we don't have a state income tax. We've cut taxes every year for the last 12 years, I think, in a row in the state of Tennessee. We're the least indebted state in America. And the way that works is because of economic activity.
And that's why Starbucks should come here, not for free money, demonstrating to the businesses that are. So what you're telling the businesses that are already here is that Starbucks is more important than them.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
I
did not say that.
Well,
I did not say that.
What am I supposed to take? You're not giving them tax breaks?
What I'm saying to the businesses that are here is that the economic activity that'll be generated by that enormous investment in our state and that enormous amount of payroll and people working and jobs, that's going to have a filter down effect to businesses all over the state of Tennessee. And so, look, fine, be against any type of incentives to a company, that is fair. And I have friends and people, I have fellow members of the General Assembly who share that same sentiment. My position is, if we're going to do it, then I need to be able to demonstrate to you and any other taxpayer in the state of Tennessee that the return on this investment over the next 5, 10, 15 years is going to be many, many times that relatively small incentive that helped make the deal of them coming here.
What do you think makes Tennessee great from a business perspective?
All kinds of things. Geographic location, weather, the fact that we're within a day's drive of, I think it's 70% of the U.S. population. And again, it's the business and regulatory climate that we've created in the state of Tennessee. And it's why businesses are knocking the door down to try to get here.
Without incentives.
Some without incentives. For some of your larger deals like that, that's the thing that our economic community development folks, led by Stuart McWhorter, who does an incredible job. And I encourage your members to go listen to his interview with Dan Mandis this morning about the science that's involved in this and the numbers that they run, and they extrapolate out what this is going to mean for the taxpayers of Tennessee. And I'm just telling you, I'm convinced that the return back to the taxpayers to help us keep your taxes low, keep us the lowest tax state in America and the least indebted state in America, that you would be very happy with that investment if that's what it took to get them here and to deploy that amount of capital into our economy.
Well, go tell some of the businesses down in Nashville that they should be happy about their tax.
No argument from me about local property taxes that are coming from the Nashville Metro Council.
Well,
but that's not the state. I don't set the property tax rate for the business owners in Nashville.
Is there, and maybe Stuart's the guy to ask this question. I know Stuart. I've had him on the show many times, and I know he's on with Dan this morning. But is there a particular dividing line where if you are of a certain size, you get all these benefits, but if you're not, you should just...
Well, first of all, ECD has all kinds of programs for different levels of business. They have Launch Tennessee, which is for new startups that are incubators, that are new companies there are resources available to those types of businesses as well. But But it all comes together to create we've got the lowest unemployment in the history of the state of Tennessee. We're the best fiscally managed state in the state of Tennessee, and we keep cutting taxes, and we do that because we generate that economic activity. I think it's a smart investment. I have no issue with people who don't think that we should do it, but I do think some of the stuff I hear and see online about it don't contemplate the entire story.
But Jack, I mean, you understand, if we have all of those things going for us, then small business owners ask me, Matt Murphy, if all of that's true, then why doesn't Starbucks come here without giving taxpayer dollars to a multi-gajillion-dollar corporation? Well, if all of that other stuff's true, where are they going to go? Where were they going to go?
Well, I don't know who else was competing for them.
Shouldn't we know that before we give taxpayer dollars to them?
Well, I'm certain Stuart McWhorter does, Matt. I'm saying I don't specifically know, were they looking at Texas or Florida or South Carolina? I don't know, but I do know that all of these states do offer some type of incentive. And I'd say that Tennessee does it in the most responsible manner of any other state in the nation to make sure that if we do that, they meet the criteria that they promised to do to create this many jobs, to have this amount of payroll. And if they don't, we claw the money back. Starbucks is going to be around. We can get the money back if they don't meet the obligations that they made. But at the end of the day, it's a great investment for the economy of the state of Tennessee.
It's a good debate. It's a fair debate, and I appreciate it. I hope the audience appreciates it. And I remind everyone that Jack and I remain friends, even if we disagree on certain issues. I don't, and I'll give you the final word on it because I don't want to take the final word. I got 2 more hours. Do you think it's conservative?
Yes, I do.
Explain to me
I don't think it's anti-conservative. I don't know if it would fit the normal litmus test of what people think as conservative or liberal. I think it is smart. And again, I'm looking at it through the eyes of a business guy. You make an investment, and for the state of Tennessee to make an investment to get and if it makes the deal happen to get those jobs, and look, there are a lot of Tennesseans out there who have kids that are graduating from college or high school or whatever else, a junior college, and they're looking for a job. And we can say, with this investment that is going to be returned back to the state of Tennessee many times over in the next decade, and it's going to create that many jobs, that much payroll, then yes, it's a smart business decision. Now, if you want to put it in some kind of a box of liberal, conservative, or whatever, I would say it's not anti-conservative. I think it's good business sense. And it's one of the reasons Tennessee is thriving in the way it is. There are a lot of businesses coming here. They don't ask for, don't need an incentive, and that's wonderful. There are some that to make this deal work, we need this much in order to get it across the finish line. And that's the job of Stuart McWhorter and his team, and they do a fabulous job at it. They come back and report to us every single year of what they've done and where they've given incentives.
And the total fund is like $600 million, right?
Ish.
Roughly.
Roughly. Yeah.
Is that annual, or do you know?
I should.
I can ask Stuart.
I don't know. I don't know how much the annual appropriation is into that, but I can tell you we get many times that back to the pockets of the taxpayers of Tennessee.
Jack, thank you for the debate. Thank you for the conversation. You know
you
how
were
much
this close to not even remembering that. I mean, I said something. Because you told me during the break, there's something we're probably going to argue about. And I thought, well,
we did, and it's fair. It's a fair debate, and we'll let the folks decide where they are on it. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks,
Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, 54 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, rational people can disagree on political issues, but reasonable people don't disagree on this. Efficient heating and cooling is the #1 spot for you and your family when it comes to your AC needs. Your heating needs in the winter, your AC needs in the summer. You heard Jack Johnson talking about this. He's got Efficient coming out this week. Why? Well, because I tell you, here's what they're going to do. They're going to come out, they're going to assess this situation. Jack mentioned that he has a or whatever it is, whatever's going on, they're going to figure out what that is. Is it tightening a few things up, maintaining the unit, making sure that everything's running as it should, and they send you on your way? Maybe that's $125 for a maintenance call, y'all. never any more in their service area. But if it's more, they're going to try to fix that unit to get maximum life out of it, because that's how you save your money. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they don't charge you overtime rates. They don't charge you extra if they're there at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, because they don't believe in it. That's the way that they keep your invoices low. Plus, when the time comes, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can recommend the right unit for you and your family. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient. Genesis Diamonds takes financing rates all the way down to zero. Friends, it's happening right now, only at Genesis. You pay nothing down. You get zero interest for 5 years on any purchase in the store. A handcrafted Tacori ring with a GIA-certified diamond is only $100 a month. Wedding bands, colored bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. You pick any item, you pay zero down, spread your payments over 5 years, even the sales tax. It's amazing. A $3,000 pair of diamond stud earrings that will be heirlooms that will pass down from generation to generation. They're just $50 a month. Luxury pre-owned Rolex watches are also included in this. Do not miss this amazing offer. If there's something that maybe is just a little out of reach that you want to get to that special someone in your life, zero interest financing for 5 years is the way to go. It's like you pay as you go, and you don't have to pay any interest, because that's exactly what it is. Makes everything more affordable. Green Hills and Cool Springs. My friends at Genesis Diamonds want to see you. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Genesis.
It is 5 p.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, some traffic, some weather. That's all coming up. In a new social media post, President Trump said he spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and claimed that Israel will not send troops into Beirut or, quote, attack Lebanon. Trump also said he had a phone call with Hezbollah and said the terrorist group agreed to stop attacks on Israel. As for Iran, the president said in an interview that he, quote, could not care less, unquote, if Iran resumes talks with the U.S. after cutting them off earlier today. Here's ABC's Karen Travers with more.
We haven't heard from the Iranians anything to indicate that things are back on, and really even the on-off, what is happening, the substance is still very complicated. There are still significant sticking points that have to be reworked, and the president had sent changes back to Iran that so far they have not addressed or weighed in on.
The state of Florida, they have filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman. The state's attorney general announced that today. The suit claims the company knowingly released and aggressively marketed ChatGPT to the public while concealing serious risks. In a news conference today, Florida's Attorney General James Utmeyer said the company suppressed internal safety warnings and deceived users about the true nature and dangers of their product. In one example, Utmeyer said that ChatGPT was used by the suspect in planning last year's deadly mass shooting at Florida State University.
He asked ChatGPT questions about what type of gun to use, providing photographs and getting advice. He asked what ammunition went with which weapon, what time of day and where on campus he might be able to encounter the most people.
Back here in Nashville, the Federal Aviation Administration gave the Metro Nashville Airport Authority some early approvals in the runway extension proposal process at Nashville's airport. BNA officials are hoping to extend one of the runways to add direct flights to Asia and meet the growing demand of arrivals and departures here in Middle Tennessee. This comes as work on the main entrance started today. And Concourse A, it's undergoing an overhaul to add 16 more gates. A second terminal is coming in the future. Now, if they could only figure out how to get us in and out of there, right? Instead of stuck on I-40. Anyway, that's the latest news, weather, and traffic. They're coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Just picking up a new wreck in the Sylvan Park area. This would be on Interstate 440 westbound, just past the Murphy Road exit. Jefferson Street west of 10th Avenue North, a crash reported there. Also 65 northbound, just past Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison, a stalled vehicle blocking the second right lane. And a stalled vehicle. This is on 65 southbound, just past Harding Place, the right shoulder block there. They're thinking that there may be a medical emergency there, so emergency crews are on the way. And finally, 24 eastbound, just past Hickory Hollow in Antioch, a crash reported. I'm Jay Harper.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you to Senator Jack Johnson. He and I, we were continuing to talk about the issue of Starbucks, and it's a great debate. It's a great conversation to have, and I appreciate that Jack and I occasionally disagree on some of these matters, and I still have respect for Jack, and I just want everybody to know that. And I think it's a demonstration of how we can disagree adamantly on certain aspects of where government and business meet without turning that into a disagreeable conversation. I hope you appreciated it. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. The argument, if you missed it, Jack Johnson and I were talking about a variety of things, including data centers, the recent special session, the censure of some of the members of the body that acted out during the special session, and we got on the conversation of Starbucks and the incentive package. And I know that McCoy, I missed the interview. I knew he was going to be on with Dan this morning, and I've got to go review that. And maybe if I'm able to do so before the end of the show, we can excerpt a couple of selected comments from Stuart McWhorter, who is the head of the Department of Economic and Business Management. I think I'm saying that right, EBM, for the state of Tennessee. 615-737-9986. Where are you on this matter? I mean, for me, it's just a matter of what the function of government is versus what it's not. I understand. And look, some people call me a hypocrite because I did not more forcefully push back against the state money involved in the new stadium, right? I'm philosophically against taxpayer dollars going to these types of functions because I do not believe it's a role of government. At the same time, I recognize the supply and demand dynamic that exists there. I recognize the overall economic benefit that exists for having something like an NFL franchise. Now, Jack, I'm not trying to put words in Jack's mouth, but I would think Jack would consider Starbucks to be a big enough entity and a big enough brand and a big enough company as they bring jobs and opportunity into the state that it merits offering an economic incentive that, as he stated, will get back tenfold or whatever it might be, $250 million for the $30 million outlay. For me, it's just a matter of where any of this or all of this ends. And I appreciate the debate. I appreciate the conversation. 615-737-9986. If you have any thoughts on it. Sharon writes in and says taxpayers are PO'd at the spending. 8402 says we don't want Starbucks for any reason. They're too liberal and carry too much weight politically. 8138 says if it's such a good return, why are they wanting a grant when they have billions? The idea, as presented by Jack, and I've heard this, is that other states are putting together these packages, and the other states make their packages very appealing. And in some cases, they offer more money on the front end, while they are less attractive as a state on the overall tax front, while they're economic topography might be less attractive in the long term. Other states, and I won't name this. But you can figure it out. Whether it's South Carolina or North Carolina or wherever it might be, they might offer more on the front end for the purpose of securing the businesses. I would need to talk with McWhorter about some of these callbacks. What the state does when they engage in this contract, they want certain guarantees about numbers of jobs and amount of time, being here and whatnot. And I don't pretend to understand all or know. I think I would understand it were I to read it, but I don't know all of the parameters involved in a contract like this. But we're always told that on the front end that there are guarantees that must be met by the companies, and if they do not meet those guarantees, then clawbacks are what they refer to as, hey, we'll get all of this incentive money back or some of this incentive money back as a result of them not fulfilling their end of the bargain. Well, I would love, and McWhorter's a friend. We've had him on the show in the past, and perhaps we'll have him on again, and he might have answered this question this morning, which is why I mentioned I'm sorry that I missed the conversation between he and Dan Mandis, but I know that it is podcast on Nashville's Morning News, and I will be enjoying that podcast a little bit later on, and I encourage you to do so as well. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, either via super text or via telephone call if you have any thoughts on this. Travis writes in and says, why, if they're going to incentivize companies, why would they pick someone as anti-American as Starbucks? No one wants Starbucks or the people who drink it. Travis, you're just wrong. You're wrong in this sense. There are Starbucks everywhere in the state of Tennessee. I do not drink Starbucks. I've never really drank Starbucks. I don't drink a lot of coffee to begin with, but I'm not a Starbucks guy. But I see the lines outside of Starbucks. I see the people in the state of Tennessee consuming Starbucks. There would not be that many Starbucks coffees if people did not go to Starbucks. So this idea that Tennessee doesn't want Starbucks or the people that drink it, Tennessee is the people that drink it. And so I think that notwithstanding. Now, in terms of their headquarters, in terms of how they operate as a company, and in terms of what political weight they may throw around, that is a legitimate concern, Travis. And I would just lean on our elected officials. They don't allow themselves to be pushed around by these companies. Gene writes in and says, maybe that's why you're so grumpy. I wasn't the one that was grumpy. I felt like I was just asking some questions that needed to be asked. Gene, I know that I present as grumpy. Maybe I'm grumpy adjacent, but I'm not grumpy because I don't drink coffee. I'm grumpy because it's 187 degrees in the studio. That's why I'm grumpy.
That's why I'm a grumpy.
You know what? That's why I think Jack and I argued about things, because it's so hot. If it had been cooler in here, we would have agreed.
Cooler heads would have prevailed.
I think so. I don't know that we would have agreed, but, Oh, and Gene says in general. I'm grumpy in general. I don't know. Grumpy? You think I'm grumpy, Jackson? You speak freely, Jackson.
No comment at this time.
That's speaking freely? Okay, that's fair. Did you have a good time Friday?
I had a great time.
Jackson and I played hooky on Friday. Thank you to Brian Wilson once again for slipping in to his previous role from the 3 to 7 time slot and presenting the news and whatnot to you on the Friday edition of the show. We do appreciate him. We were out making some business connections and watching a great race. That was your first NASCAR experience in person.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
10 out of 10, man. That was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really cool.
You were, I think Jackson was a little disappointed that we didn't get to meet Tony. Qualifying was rained out, and so she didn't get to race, and so they kind of packed up and left a little early. But, it is Tony Bredinger, I guess her name was. The second team on the Rackley Roofing Racing team.
It was awesome. Really cool view for the race, too.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. That's nice. And can you believe that's a temporary? I'm just fascinated that was a temporary structure.
They don't just leave that up?
No. It was like, man, remember back in the day on Friday when we were in that little box and it was so cold?
Yeah.
Remember that? Those were the good
Remember
times.
Air conditioning?
Oh, my goodness. Those were the good times. So, Matt, the one thing I looked at, and I'm not a Starbucks fan, it's going to bring a lot of jobs to Tennessee. Plus, it's going to be at Nashville, in Nashville is already woke. So you're not really losing anything, but it might be an opportunity to show Starbucks that you don't have to be woke. It could be conservative. I look at it as an opportunity to fix Starbucks wellness. I just, you have to draw a line where government utilizes taxpayer dollars to engage in these sorts of private ventures. And, people draw lines in different places. Government interacts with business all the time. Is this your role, Mr. and Mrs. Government, to build this road that's going to link to my new business, or is that my role as the business owner to provide that level of infrastructure? What is the government responsibility in terms of electricity? What's the government's responsibility in terms of water? What's the government's responsibility in terms of under the ground piping and what sort of thing that would go into a large scale business along these lines? Versus what is the business's role? So those two things butt up against one another quite often. It's just sometimes things come along, and I say that I believe that's a step too far. We already provide, we're told that, taxes are low for a reason, and businesses want to come here for a reason. And I would think that reason is not this quote unquote incentive package that many of you on the Super Text line are referring to as a bribe. I don't think that I would refer to it as that, but it's not just the $30 million. It's more than that. It's, if you are a big enough business, you can get some pretty good money from these incentive packages that total, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 million. And Stuart McWhorter would be better able to fill in those gaps. And I know he was on with Dan this morning. All right, 17 after the hour. Lila is first up on this subject. Lila, thank you for your call. How are you? Is it Lila?
No, it's Laura.
Lila. Lila?
Laura.
Okay, I think I've got it. What's on your mind?
Well, my opinion of this is I call this corporate welfare. And I don't like it because they look at the state level, and I understand he's, representing the state, but they don't look at the impact of the county. When you bring this many people in, there's more traffic on the roads. You got to have more schools. You got to have more doctors, which we don't have enough of to start with. You got to have more hospital beds, which we don't have enough to start with. Our water supply is getting limited. That just means more demand on the water. And they're not telling me or anyone else how they're addressing all these problems we already have without incentivizing more people to come.
Well, I mentioned that to Senator Johnson, and I think we were off air by the time we got to this point in the conversation, because I said many of my listeners feel like Tennessee's already full. And
to capacity.
And I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but I understand the sentiment, certainly.
Well, but they're not addressing any of these issues. Water is going to be a major issue going forward, as it is now in the state of Tennessee. We gave all this money for Ford to build an electric plant over in West Tennessee. And this is a drop in the bucket compared to what they gave Ford. There will never be one electric car off that line. They've already made that decision. So are we getting that money back?
I don't know, is the short answer.
It's a good question, though.
I do. And Jack mentioned that Stuart and Dan's conversation involved the clawbacks, and I'm going to try to find that over the next couple of minutes, and I'll see if I can't relate that information or play some of that interview.
Well, I want to see those callbacks in writing, and I think as a lifelong resident of this state and a taxpayer, I have a right to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's our money. I mean, certainly. I mean, the $30 million comes from us, the tax-paying citizens. It comes from the existing, right? And thank you, Lila, for the call. It comes from the existing businesses that don't receive those same types. Look, if I am a small business owner and I employ 15 or 20 employees, am I supposed to feel good about this? You know, and Jack's position, I don't think I'm mischaracterizing this, is, well, yes, you should, because with the employees that the Starbucks is going to bring into the state, those folks are going to go out, they're going to frequent businesses, and if you're a furniture owner, they're going to buy furniture from you, and if you own a sandwich shop, they're going to be buying sandwiches, and so that's going to residually improve your business as well. So you should be happy that they're kind of, but it's almost like they're recirculating your dollars at that point. So there it is. 21 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The dumbest article that I've seen in a long, long time appeared this weekend in the Tennessean. It is an opinion column regarding the namesake of Nashville. We will discuss next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, our good friend Keith at Contours LLC just announced his engagement. He and his fiancée, Catherine, are great people, and we are so happy for them. They're getting married in April of next year. They're going through all of the wedding plans. Fun. 6 weeks out from the wedding, they will be using the Ultra Slim equipment at Contours to look their best for the big day. And believe me, it's on the calendar, and believe me, it works. The red light technology is safe, effective, non-invasive, and cost-effective. There's no pain, no downtime, no risk of infection, and they've been in business for well over 5 years now, and they have an incredible amount of people that can testify to the success of their company. So if you're getting married anytime soon, Keith and Catherine say congratulations. They understand what you're going through. Put in a visit to Contours LLC on your to-do list. A package of red light treatments on your belly, your chest will ensure you look your best on the big day. It will guarantee that you fit into the clothes that you want to wear. You'll feel more confident when you're taking those vows and those pictures. $99 is their Belly Buster special. Ask them about the Murph when you call in. ContoursLLC.com, ContoursLLC.com, or 615-236-9960, 236-9960. What do you have to lose but inches? Hello, friends. Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you homeowners for just a moment. Have you been through the kitchen or the bathroom and just are you frustrated by the state of your cabinets, the state of your kitchen affairs? I have Timberland cabinets to tell you about. Man, oh man. They are located right here in Columbia, Tennessee. They have a showroom in Franklin, but they do all of their business in Columbia, and I love that. I've toured the facility, and I love what they do. From start to finish, they build your cabinets right there in Middle Tennessee. I had a personal tour of the company's craftsmanship. I saw the quality in the manufacturing, and I can tell you with all let me tell you, it's just a fascinating opportunity to buy local and to keep your money right here in Middle Tennessee. Their core mission is to deliver high-quality cabinet products at affordable prices, and they do so. They serve homeowners, but if you're a home builder, a remodeler, or a dealer across the state of Tennessee, they want to help you as well. Timberland Cabinetry helps builders deliver high-end kitchens and baths that elevate home value while staying on budget. So if you're looking at a remodel, why not go to Timberland Cabinets? I promise you, they're going to help you find the right for you. They have a showroom showroom once again in Columbia. They have another in Franklin. Go to TimberlandCabinets.com to find out more. That's TimberlandCabinets.com. And give them a call. Stop by. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Timberland Cabinets.
President Trump, a little earlier this afternoon, posting on social media the result of his communications with Israel. We'll let you know how that turned out. Also, a federal appeals court weighing in on transgenders in the military. That's coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper, you know what Jackson just did while you were doing your news team?
I can only imagine.
He came in here and tried to shut my studio door.
Oh, I thought maybe he came in there and took his shirt off.
Well, I mean, that might be next. Jackson thinks we should, what was your word, Jackson? Own the heat? Is that the phrase you used?
Sure.
We need to own it?
Become the heat.
So you decided to close up shop in there, so you're just letting the sauna happen.
Yep.
And you think I should too?
Yep. Don't be a baby.
And why would that be the case?
Don't be a baby.
Don't be a baby. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and be a baby. And I mean, it's after 5. There's nobody here. Might as well leave this door open. Get a little air circulation going. I got a fan out there in the hall. Do you see that?
Yeah, the fan's not really doing anything for me.
Oh, a little box fan action. Oh, my goodness.
And I can just hear everything out there. I don't like it.
If I kind of don't like being able to hear in the hallway either, but if I pulled the fan a little closer, it would sound like I'm on a bus or a plane or a tornado's coming.
I got a fan working in here, and I don't care what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stay cool, y'all.
They gave the news guys the fan?
Yeah. Well, they are in a news class. They don't have a window, so we decided to give them a fan.
Yeah.
I think
we usually get the shaft, but in this case, we got the fan.
9322 says, good question about Blue Oval City from the caller. Ford has to honor UAW transfer rights before any locals are hired. That means importing Democrat voters. Can you spell Saturn, says Janie. I can, and I get you. Our politicians are paid off to moving corporations and kill small-time America. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I don't know. It's just a difference of opinion about, where the responsibility of our elected leadership lies in bringing in business. You want to grow business. You want to create a fertile environment by which businesses want to come. They want to naturally grow. They want to begin or move here and flourish in this incredible environment. But, at some point, there's a line in the sand, and this goes beyond that. The argument against that is Starbucks would have gone somewhere else. And I think, for me, I understand where the other people are coming from. I understand where the Jack Johnson or Stuart McWhorter or whomever, I understand where those guys are coming from, but I'm like, okay, then they need to go somewhere else. That's where I'm at on it. And their position, I'm not here to argue their position, but I think in fairness, I should say their position seems to be, well, they are being remiss if they don't seize those opportunities to bring more good-paying jobs into the state of Tennessee. And that's a fair argument. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Betty says, was great to meet Matt in person Saturday. Sorry we missed you, Jackson. Jackson was being lazy, and he was lying up in bed. He was laying up in bed while I was hard at it at the Glock store. What a great event. I'll tell you more about that coming up in just a moment. Right now it's time for news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 5:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a weather forecast, and a traffic report. They're coming up. In a new social media post, President Donald Trump said that he spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and claimed that Israel will not send troops into Beirut or attack Lebanon. Trump also said he had a phone call with Hezbollah and said that terrorist group agreed to quit attacking Israel. As for Iran, the president said in an interview that he could not care less if Iran resumes talks with the U.S. after cutting them off earlier today. We hear now from ABC's Karen Travers.
We haven't heard from the Iranians anything to indicate that things are back on, and really even the on-off, what is happening, the substance is still very complicated. There are still significant sticking points that have to be reworked, and the president had sent changes back to Iran that so far they have not addressed or weighed in on.
A federal appeals court today said the Pentagon illegally banned transgender troops from military service. ABC's Peter Haralambous weighs in.
In a split decision, a federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. said the Trump administration's transgender military ban is likely unconstitutional and, quote, appears to be driven by a bare desire to harm a politically unpopular group. The Supreme Court last year allowed the ban to go into place as lawsuits challenging the policy went through the courts. While Monday's decision barred the Pentagon from expelling transgender soldiers, the court did allow a ban on transgender recruits from joining the military.
All right, Nashville residents, it's that time of year that either you love or you hate, and we're talking it's CMA Fest time. And if you're heading downtown over the next couple of weeks, major traffic changes. The city says road closures are already underway ahead of the 4-day festival. CMA Fest, it starts this Thursday, it goes through Sunday. Some streets, though, they're going to be closed through early next week. Drivers can expect the biggest impacts around Lower Broad, Demonbreun Street, First Avenue, as well as Nissan Stadium and the riverfront. Closures around Nissan Stadium in the East Bank, they have already begun around Titans Way, Russell Street, and Victory Avenue. Now, beginning tomorrow, drivers will start to lose access to parts of First Avenue, Demonbreun, and the John Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge. The biggest wave, though, of closures will start Wednesday night and continue all the way through the weekend, impacting Broadway, Korean Veterans Boulevard, 6th Avenue, as well as Commerce Street. That's the latest news. We'll get to traffic and weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. .440 westbound past Murphy Road, trying to clear that wreck. Also, West End Avenue, the on-ramp from Murphy Road, that's partially blocked. There is a wreck there. 65 northbound past Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison, a stalled vehicle jamming up things. Also, 65 southbound past Harding Place at exit 78. The right shoulder is blocked. Emergency crews are there, apparently helping someone that's having a medical emergency of some kind. And an accident now, 24 eastbound, just past Hickory Hollow Parkway. I'm Jay Harper.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has big goings on around the borough, and I'm going to tell you more about that in the coming weeks because they've got a new shop opening up. That makes number 4 in Middle Tennessee. Here's the bottom line, friends. If you're in Clarksville, you're taken care of. Anywhere north of the city, Clarksville is your place. They've got the original location in Middle Tennessee in Midtown, Nashville, and then the Southern Command, if you will, that would be in the Cool Springs area. Any of those locations, including the brand new in the borough, they open up an opportunity for you men to receive treatment for energy level decrease. As your life goes on, naturally, your energy levels go down, and in some cases, your testosterone levels are going down to the point that you can no longer have the intimacy and the romance in your relationship that you once had. If that's the case, friends, it is time to contact the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Let Evan Bass and his team help you. Their qualified urologists are personal. They tailor an approach specific to your need. For $99, they'll give you a first consultation and treatment. If medically determined that you can receive that treatment, they'll get some blood work from you and they'll figure it out. It's the Tennessee Men's Clinic. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call 615-208-9090, 208-9090. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, there's an interesting debate going on right now on the super text line, believe it or not. This debate is happening kind of independent of one another because these are coming in the form of texts about Saturn and the Saturn plan and whether or not that was good or bad for the area. Some are saying that, well, Spring Hill would not be what it is. Spring Hill would not be Spring Hill today were it not for the Saturn plant. That was a good investment of dollars. Others say, well, they're gone now and they've been replaced by the electric, which has never come to fruition, and the battery plant out there, whatever it's called, never came to fruition. And you never see any of this clawbacks coming back. I don't know. I need to get to the math of it and let you know what I think about all of that. In the meantime, I've been chided. 0661 says incentives, not tax money, Matt. To which I said government incentives are tax dollars. To which 0661 wrote, I beg to differ. To which I said, okay, every dollar the government spends comes from the taxpayers. It's not a matter of opinion. No offense intended. I never take offense to anything anyone says to me, and I don't intend it to anyone. I just speak frankly and truthfully as I understand it. That doesn't mean I'm always right, but I'm never in doubt. Every dollar the government spends comes from somewhere else. Comes from the tax dollar. Comes from the taxpayer. Comes from businesses and citizens like you and me. So I don't know what I'm missing here. Incentives are tax dollars. Government incentives. our tax dollars. Now, they'll tell you, well, we'll get our return on it. I mean, that's what they say. That's the argument is, we're going to get such a return on investment. It's a multiplier. I just don't believe it's an appropriate function of government. I don't. And if we lose out on some of these big businesses, so be it. We'll survive. Unemployment rate's low. Job opportunities exist. Tennessee is a great state to live in, a great state to work in. We have survived this. I mean, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I understand there's other arguments against it. You heard one last hour. We survived long enough without the southern headquarters of Starbucks. I feel like we can survive plenty of time without them. It's time. We can't survive a moment longer without nincompoops in the news.
Nincompoops in the news.
That's right, friends. Every Monday through Friday at this time, we set aside the real news as delivered by Jay Harper today, normally by Ken Weaver. He's out on assignment. Jay's back in News Closet B delivering the real headlines, but now we break it down. We look all across the volunteer state of Tennessee, all across these United States of America. Nay.
The globe.
The globe. We find the nincompoops. We present the nincompoops. You get to vote on which is your favorite nincompoop of the day. Will it be Jackson? Will it be Harper? Will it be Murphy? Who knows? Jay, are you ready? Do you have one? I didn't talk to you about this.
Yeah,
okay.
I will give it a try. Even
Give it a
though, even though I always feel like I'm repeating something that's already been done. But anyway, I'll give it a shot.
No, I think you're all good. We like to, for those guest selectors, we try to suspend the rules one way or the other with that in mind. Because, believe it or not, there are only so many nincompoops out there. I know it seems hard to believe, but it is true. Young Jackson, you were the winner last week. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Oh, Jackson, you sound.
The king needs a sweat towel.
Do you need? I would have thought. How's your trumpet guy doing in there? Is he all right?
Heat stroke.
Yeah. Can I get a little something from him? Oh, yeah. That's all he could give me. That's all he could give me. Hey, ask him if he's got something to fan you with. That might be a good idea.
Nope.
No. Jackson, you get to pick the order today since you won last week.
Williams, Harper, Murphy.
Williams, Harper, Murphy. Okay. Jackson Williams, Y2J, J Willie, Action Jackson. The floor is yours.
All right. Have we done the one about the Florida guy naked outside Taco Bell?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done like 18 of those stories.
You got to be more specific. I mean, there's been a number of those, right?
Had a fish named Baja Blast.
I think so, yeah.
I think we did that one, too.
I do, too.
All right. Central Florida HOA president caught pushing kid off bike, deputy says. The president of an HOA in Central Florida has been accused of pushing a 12-year-old to the ground during a verbal confrontation, according to the Volusia Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm. That's Volusia.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. In an arrest bless you. An arrest affidavit, deputies said that the incident happened on Tuesday around 8 p.m. At the time, deputies said they were called to Country Club Drive, where they met with the boy and his grandfather. There, investigators learned that the boy had been riding his bicycle around the nearby clubhouse, but he became tired, so he sat down near the tennis court, the affidavit shows. The kid stated he noticed a male, later identified as Paul Holmes, staring at him and making an odd facial expression. The affidavit reads, the child stated he then decided to leave and raised his middle finger toward Paul. Afterward, the boy reportedly explained that Holmes approached him, pushed him to the ground, and yelled, "Do you know who I am? I'm the president of the HOA." Per the boy, Holmes then took his bicycle, placed it on his vehicle, and drove away. Deputies said they spoke with Holmes, who initially refused to return the bicycle before eventually giving in. Paul stated that there had been ongoing issues with juveniles gathering around the clubhouse late at night when the club was closed. Although the juveniles had not been observed committing criminal activity, Paul stated they were not members of the club and therefore had no business being there. Furthermore, Holmes claimed he took the bicycle so that security could identify the boy and his parents, though the HOA president denied intentionally placing hands on the boy, investigators noted. Regardless, Holmes was arrested and now faces charges of child abuse and petty theft. He was released on Wednesday evening on bond.
One finger salute, huh?
Yeah.
You're number one.
You're number one.
Mr. Harper, you're an nincompoop, sir.
Yes. And not really sure who the actual nincompoop is here, but there's some nincompoops in this somewhere. We'll have to sort it out. I'm actually having to go overseas for this nincompoop in the news.
Mm-hmm.
A young underground idol from Japan allegedly allows fans to smell her armpits.
Ew.
After performing on stage.
What?
The idol industry, apparently this is a thing in Japan in their entertainment culture there. Idols and talent agencies actually dedicate a lot of time and resources to build these relationships with fans through all these various channels and events and meetups and stuff. But this particular person is an underground idol. In other words, they don't have a big agency or any of that helping promote them, so they're out there doing stupid stuff to promote themselves. Japanese media recently reported that Harita Matsumoto, an underground idol from Japan, sparked a heated debate after allegedly offering her fans the chance to smell her armpits after shows. Photos of this woman lifting her arms and letting men jam their noses up in her armpits. This went viral online. There's a big line of guys doing this. Now, unlike, again, mainstream idols who have all these big companies and stuff marketing their image, these underground idols like this lady, they just try to attract as many fans as possible, however they can. Well, a large part, this woman has 500,000 followers, and they continue to support her despite this controversy that many deem rather disgusting. But again, there are nincompoops in here somewhere, Matt.
Everywhere. They're everywhere in that story. They're all over that story, and I love it. I think, yeah, anybody, well, look, anything for a buck, I don't blame the person trying to make a buck, but if you're...
How much?
They don't go into that.
What do you charge for an armpit sniff, Matt?
What are you charging for that?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you got?
This is not a negotiation.
I mean, how much you got?
How much do you think she charged?
$100?
50?
I don't know. Maybe there's no charge at all. I don't really know. There's no.
Oh no, that's a price. You pay for that.
Yeah, you would think so.
You pay hard-earned money to sniff that.
Yeah,
and other body parts probably cost a little more.
Yikes. Okay, dokie then.
Yeah.
All right, here comes my nincompoop. I'm a little bit torn, but I can't pull up. I'm trying to pull up. I've got one story involving Dolly, my beloved Dolly Parton, and another story involving the not-so-beloved Stephen Colbert. And I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with. I think I'm going to go with Dolly because I can't find the Stephen Colbert story right now. The Colbert story, I'll just tell you, it's not an official nincompoop. Oh, no, here it is. I just found it. I might make it an official nincompoop. So all of these people screaming about Stephen Colbert was eliminated because Stephen Colbert was too liberal and he was anti-Trump and Trump got him fired and all blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal. Welcome back to the today's episode of morons/nincompoops who don't understand business. So, do you know how much money the Colbert Show was losing every year? I'll give you a hint. $40 million. So we saw a photograph of the last shot of all of the staff and writers and production crew involved in the making of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which was losing money. It lost $40 million the last several years, each year, $40 million annually. The higher-ups at CBS turned a $40 million deficit that happened annually to a $15 million profit. They netted $55 million like that in canceling the show. How? Because they had a taker on purchasing the hour. CBS lost $40 million a year to produce The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. attracting around 2 million viewers per night. CBS is now profiting $15 million per year to air a show called Comics Unleashed, which attracted about 900,000 customers or viewers in its debut, but does no matter. They're making money. For those of you unfamiliar with Comics Unleashed, it is a business venture by Byron Allen, who will keep the proceeds from whatever advertising he sells. Basically, he bought the hour from CBS for $15 million annually. He gets a licensing fee. The costs involved in producing Comics Unleashed will obviously be taken up by Byron Allen, and he will keep whatever money he makes on advertising for himself. We're proud to partner with Byron Allen on a new business and programming model for late night that was cost prohibitive to continue. With this time-buy model, we've shifted an hour that was losing roughly $40 million annually to $15 million in profit, a $55 million swing. Byron Allen started as a stand-up comedian, co-hosted a 70s reality show called Real People, went on to become a media and real estate mogul. According to Legend, Real People was produced by NBC. Allen would wander into the Tonight Show and sit on the set, et cetera, et cetera. Just an incredible American success story and an incredible story involving CBS and turning what was a $40 million deficit into a $15 million profit. Bottom line is, all of you liberal knuckleheads who believed that this was all about Donald Trump and using his influence, baloney. It was about business. It was a business venture. And all of you liberals are nincompoops. Now, very quickly, this one doesn't count, but I'm going to share it with you. I might wait on this till tomorrow. But I've mentioned her name, so Jackson will steal it if he wins today. Missouri, y'all are a bunch of nincompoops. Missouri has cut funding for Dolly Parton's free book program. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this as a news story coming up next. And I'm going to offer the dumbest article I've read in a long, long time. That is on the way. For now, you vote. Vote early, vote often. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Vote for Murphy, vote for Harper, vote for Jackson. But vote. You can also vote on the YouTube chat. That counts fivefold once those votes are tallied. Nincompoops in the news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back for another hour of fun and frivolity. 52 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Better Water has now celebrated 55 years in public service as a two-generation family business in Middle Tennessee and beyond. They serve residential and commercial customers, industrial applications as well. They founded themselves in March of 1971. And they have been blessed to serve Middle Tennessee ever since then. Think of them as a huge water filter for your home or your place of business. They remove sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, E. coli, everything else from your water. They get it clean as can be. It is a wonderful opportunity, a full range of water treatment equipment from reverse osmosis, which is what I have in my home, to water softeners, specialized filters, UV lights, you name it, they do it. And they will get that water clean and healthy. You think about the water that's in your home. Do you know? If you don't know, you need to make the call. They'll check it out for you. They will test your water for free if you go to betterwater.com. Betterwater.com on the website or Better Water LLC on the phone, 615-355-6063. 355-6063 for Better Water LLC.
President Trump posting on social media the result of his communications with Israel today. We'll tell you how that apparently went and more changes to Nashville's airport. That's all coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Young Jackson attended his first NASCAR race over the weekend. It was the truck race, not the premier race. I had to go to the airport yesterday, so I was unable to attend the Nashville Super Speedway Cup race that happened yesterday. It was a little bit rain delayed, but they got it in toward the evening. Night races, all of the races that happened over the course of the weekend. Every person I talked to out there at Nashville Super Speedway, they thought to mention the Nashville Fairgrounds. They talked about how excited they were at the possibility of racing coming back to the old school Nashville Fairgrounds, cup racing, truck racing, whatever it might be. I was determined to encourage them to contact local city leadership, every single one of them, and let local city leadership know how much investment would be made within the city limits of Nashville, Tennessee, if they were to do so. Sadly, I believe Freddie O'Connell and many on the Metro Council have been bought and paid for by John Ingram, and that will never happen. That's unfortunate but true. If enough of us coalesce together, I believe we can make it happen still. We can overcome the billions of dollars that Ingram is worth. That's what it's going to take. Another hour to go. Dolly Parton on my mind. This story that I've been promising you for the better part of 3 hours is on my mind. Your calls as well. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay Harper's newscast. Easy for me to say is right now.
It is 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a forecast, a traffic report. They're coming up. In a social media post, President Donald Trump said he did indeed speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and claimed that Israel promised not to send troops into Beirut or attack Lebanon any further. Trump also said he had a phone call with Hezbollah and said the terrorist group, they agreed to quit attacking Israel. As for Iran, the president said in an interview that he couldn't care less if Iran keeps talking with the U.S. after cutting them off earlier today. We hear now from ABC's Karen Travers.
We haven't heard from the Iranians anything to indicate that things are back on, and really even the on-off, what is happening, the substance is still very complicated. There are still significant sticking points that have to be reworked, and the president had sent changes back to Iran that so far they have not addressed or weighed in on.
Back here in the States, the state of Florida filing a lawsuit against OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman. The state's attorney general announced that earlier today. The suit claims the company knowingly released and aggressively marketed ChatGPT to the public while concealing serious risks. In a news conference today, Florida's Attorney General James Utmeyer said the company suppressed internal safety warnings and deceived users about the true nature and dangers of their product. In one example, Utmeyer said that ChatGPT was used by the suspect in planning last year's deadly mass shooting at Florida State.
He asked ChatGPT questions about what type of gun to use, providing photographs and getting advice. He asked what ammunition went with which weapon, what time of day and where on campus he might be able to encounter the most people.
Back here in Nashville, the Federal Aviation Administration giving the Metro Nashville Airport Authority some early approvals in the runway extension proposal process at Nashville International Airport. BNA officials, they're hoping to extend one of the runways to add direct flights to Asia and meet the growing demand of arrivals and departures here in the mid-state. This comes as work on the main entrance started today. And Concourse A, it's undergoing an overhaul. They're going to be adding 16 more gates there, and a second terminal is coming in the near future. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We still have this crash 440 westbound just past Murphy Road. It has been pushed over to the shoulder, however. Also a wreck in Antioch, 24 eastbound at Harding Place. And 65 northbound at exit 80. That's a stalled vehicle there. That's actually at the 440 interchange. And also 24 eastbound up in Clarksville, just before Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. A crash is blocking the right lane. I'm Jay Harper.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, final hour of the Monday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. First day of June. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good day thus far. Avoid the raindrops, etc. It's my understanding that rain is out of here for the next several days, so we should dry out just a little bit. We needed a lot of this rain, and it's good that we got it, and it's come in the form of what we believe to be, relatively speaking, less severe levels, and that's all good news. In the meantime, your call, 615-737-9986. If you want to jump on board, empty phone lines right now. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. A mere slice of live and local conversation from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., starting with Dan Mandis and Nashville's Morning News. Obviously, Chris Hand follows Chad Benson right before us, and we're here from 3 until 7 o'clock. I've got the Dolly Parton story real quick. So Dolly Parton is an absolute American treasure, a worldwide treasure. I'm on record as saying there's no greater living human on planet Earth than Dolly Parton. I believe that. I mean, she's a wonderful woman inside and out, and she gives back far more than is ever discussed publicly. I mean, obviously, she's given us so much in terms of her music, the state of Tennessee, and the United States of America, and by extension, the world has benefited so much from her. Potentially the greatest thing that she has done has not been her music, but she's utilized her fame and fortune in a way that created the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Inspired by her upbringing, the star has made it her mission over the past 3 decades to improve literacy through the Imagination Library book giveaway program. She has told the story many times in the past that her father grew up so poor, never got a chance to learn to read. The program started in a single county in her home state, our state of Tennessee, in 1995, and it has spread exponentially from there. It sends age-appropriate books to registered children every month at no cost to the family. It operates from funding shared by Dolly Parton and local community partners. According to the program's website, more than 318 million books have been gifted. The program is available even outside of the United States. Imagination Library was expanded and adopted in a variety of states to include the state of Missouri in 2023. It became available to all children under the age of 5. In 2025, Missouri was one of 11 states to provide government investment in statewide coverage for the program. An additional 13 states provide at least partial coverage with certain amounts of funding from the state. Montana is the lone state to provide full coverage. According to the Kansas City Star, about 45% of Missouri kids under the age of 6 were registered for the program. The budget has now been cut in the state of Missouri. That means no new children or families will be able to sign up to get free books. Local reports say the program's budget was cut from the state, or in the state, from $6 million to $2 million for the upcoming fiscal year. So Missouri is cutting money for what is a free program. I have no idea why there is necessarily money being made for the program, because it is a free program. So I don't really understand why they need money for the program, but that is what it is. In the meantime, one of the dumber articles that we will share with you, and one of the dumber articles that I've read in a long, long time. So I read this from the Tennessean. It was an op-ed piece by Peter Chesney. Mr. Chesney is a former professor, I guess, at Vanderbilt. I just want to read it to you. And understand that we are all dumber as a result of this article having ever been written. It is a modest proposal, if you will, pardon me to Jonathan Swift, to rename the city of Nashville. And you're probably saying, well, why and to what? You'll find out. Mr. Chesney writes, I want to mark the occasion of the forthcoming 250th birthday of the United States of America by starting a debate about renaming the city of Nashville. Vanderbilt University hired me as a postdoctoral fellow after I finished my PhD in history at UCLA. Oh, that's great. I brought my family here, and we came to love our Woodbine community in South Nashville, but Nashville, the name, did not win me over. As a historical urbanist, whatever that means, I made a point upon arrival to use a simple search engine to look into the city's history. Fort Nashborough was dedicated in recognition for the Nash family, who had lost their son Francis to a battle wound in Germantown in 1779. That's not our Germantown, to mind you. It was Germantown in Pennsylvania, I guess. Mr. Chesney goes on to say, America is covered with cities named for warriors. I'm cool with Cincinnati, which celebrates the American Cincinnatus, General George Washington. Tuscaloosa, drawing from Choctaw, harkens back to a riveting story of resistance by a Mississippian chief against the Spaniards. By comparison, Francis Nash pales as the namesake for the greatest boom town of the last 10 years. Number one, Nashville's not a 10-year boom town. Nashville's been booming since the early 2000s. There's a number of other issues that I take up with this, but we'll hold off on that. I had never mentioned Francis Nash in all my years of teaching history. As well, didn't this guy just say that when he moved to Nashville, he did the research? So I don't understand when he moved here. I don't understand if you didn't know about it before then and you don't. Anyway, I found that a recurring theme of his life was seduction and siring babies out of wedlock. In at least one case, his family had to pay alimony to a white North Carolina barmaid in the form of enslaved human beings. Ditch Francis Nashville. But don't worry. This does not have to be onerous, tedious, or pricey. Go ahead with a new icon who happens to share the slave owner's surname, Diane Nash. Diane Nash will be a more fitting name for the city, where events of far more importance than 1777's Battle of Germantown occurred. Born in Chicago, Diane Nash transferred to Fisk University, where she took a leading role as an organizer in the movement for black liberation. The city is where Diane Nash faced down the forces of Jim Crow at Woolworth's lunch counter during the Nashville sit-ins. This is where Diane Nash led a column of peaceful marchers to City Hall and asked Mayor Ben West whether he found discrimination against black diners fair. West confessed that it was not fair. Nashville stores were early for the South to integrate. The name Diane Nashville, he writes, represents a key step beyond racism, not just for Tennessee, but for the entire country. There are now precious few places named for black men or women. A rare exception is Allensworth, a Central California community named for a Buffalo soldier in 1908. Well, who among us haven't said, boy, we need to be more like California? Who hasn't said that? Mr. Chesney? The name Diane Nashville, he keeps saying it this way and it's annoying, presents us with an opportunity to write more gender diversity onto the map of the United States. There were no women of any color among the signers of that declaration in 1776. One, I want you to note, look, I don't pretend to be the best author in the world, but I've written an article or two. I used to write for 1819 News in Alabama. I wrote briefly for AL.com in Alabama. I've done my share of column writing. This thing is all over the place, and this guy claims to be a PhD, and he can't write any better than this. It's embarrassing. But anyway, I digress. There were no women of any color among the signers of that declaration in 1776. This gap is reflected in a landscape where the few places named for women are typically named after a female character or, at best, a female saint's feast day rather than a local person. This tradition has given us the name of my hometown, L.A. Oh, joy of joys, which is a shortening of Nuestra Señora de Reina de Los Angeles. It's an ornate way of saying Mary. All my life growing up in California, I also saw Santa Clarita, Santa Monica, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara. I guess I expected to see more women's names on the map than a Charlotte here or an Augusta there. Diane Nashville will also gel with the tradition of urban rebranding in the former colonies. What? In the years since their independence from British rule, many cities in India officially changed their names. He goes on to talk about Bombay becoming Mumbai, Madras becoming whatever it was. For Nashville to follow in this tradition would be all the more fitting because Diane Nash's nonviolence was modeled on Gandhi's famous nonviolent stance. Come on, Nashville, he finishes. Big finish on this paragraph. Come on, Nashville. Embrace history by switching from Francis to Diane. If you felt strongly about a guy who died before Nashville was founded, you would have a statue dedicated to him. But I have found no such thing. You can make this change matter tangibly by hiring Walter Hood, the designer of witness walls, to ask Diane Nash how she would like her life marked in space. And then it just ends. Peter Chesney, a historian and urbanist who taught at Vanderbilt University and served on its Urban Studies Steering Committee. This fellow's writing a book. Hey, Jackson, we're going to try to get Peter Chesney on the show. How about that? He's writing a book on Nashville. I bet that will be riveting. Jackson, I want you to be honest with me. Well, you always are. If I asked you who Nashville was named, you grew up here. You were educated here. You matriculated at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Go Big Orange. If I asked you who Nashville was named after, could you have told me? I'll believe you.
I know I learned it in school, but probably not.
If I asked you how many by percentage people that live in Nashville do you think? I put a poll up on this, which has convinced me that I'm being shadow banned on the X machine because I've got almost 20,000 followers on the X machine, and I put this up for 24 hours, and I got 20 votes. That's less than 0.1%, which, I mean, people, I don't know. Maybe I'm just grumping. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy, but something's weird there. But I asked the question on the X machine, by percentage, how many people do you think could point to the namesake of Nashville and say one fact about that person?
10, 15?
I think it's much less. 10, 15 total?
No, 10, 15%.
Oh, I thought you meant total. I think it's less than 2%. Could name Francis Nash. I think 2 out of every 100 people in Nashville, Tennessee would be able to name Francis Nash and say one thing about him, that he fought in the Revolutionary War, that he died in the Revolutionary War, that, Fort Nashboro is named after him. One single fact about him. I think it's less than 3% of the population. Secondarily, apparently Diane Nash is still alive. So, thank you, ma'am, for your efforts within the civil rights era. This is certainly nothing against Diane Nash. It's just stupid. If you want to honor Diane Nash and the rest of the civil rights foot soldiers that did their best to create a better and more equality-driven life in Nashville, Tennessee for all residents, no matter the color of their skin, so be it. Put up a monument. You don't have to take one down to put one up. Secondarily, you're demanding that we, quote, change the name of Nashville without changing the name of Nashville. I think this is a little cute, maybe. I don't know what you're trying to do, but it's dumb. And if you think we're being sold in the state of Tennessee on how y'all used to do it out in California, I don't think you know Nashville, Tennessee the way you think you know Nashville, Tennessee. Or maybe you just don't understand Tennessee. Maybe you're just in Germantown and over in Easton Nash and in, 12, maybe you're hanging out at 12 South a little too much and you don't talk to the real people of Tennessee. The real people of Tennessee exist beyond Briley Parkway. Okay? 21 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, friends, you got to get in on Cover Nash. Here's the deal. Shane Ring taught me this, and I will say it to you. If you're talking to someone and you're trying to do something about your health insurance, you're frustrated, maybe you don't know what you don't know, and they say to you something along the lines of, well, it's not open enrollment, so there's nothing you can do. You need to hang up the phone and call Shane Ring. As a matter of fact, no matter what they say, you need to hang up the phone and call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Shane Ring has every opportunity at his fingertips. Opportunities, meaning health insurance programs. He can shop the entire marketplace and find the right one for you. Yes, he can shop what is commonly referred to as Obamacare, but he also can shop so many different other programs and find better opportunities for you to manage your own health care and not to rely on the government to manage it for you. I mean, these things go up and up and up. Premiums are up for 2026. It's very frustrating. You don't have to play by Washington, D.C.'s rules. Shane at Cover Nash can assist you. If you have frustration, if you have problems, whatever your reason, I want you to make the call to Shane that so many others have made and save money while keeping your coverage or bettering your coverage in the process for you and your family. Self-employed, uninsured, or just tired of paying too much? Cover Nash, 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or online, covernash.com, covernash.com.
Well, they found another tunnel at the California-Mexico border, and officials are saying it's amazingly sophisticated. Also, Pete Hegseth, he's vowing to appeal a federal appeals court ruling. We'll have those stories at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 25 minutes after the hour. I mentioned I was at the airport yesterday. B&A is they're making progress, but boy, there's a long way to go. The airport is still under major construction. Just warning those of you who have not been out for the last several months. That roadway looks awesome. The interstate looks almost complete, but still a lot going on at B&A Airport. It's my understanding that they're announcing some of the progress that they've made in their advancements and their revamps and all that. What they need to do is they need to better police individuals just sitting in the arrivals lane where they're not supposed to sit. I'm telling you, they just sit there, and it says all these signs. Jay say, you can't sit here. You gotta circle till your party's available, and then you can pick them up. No, they just sit there.
Just sit there. Matt, they're adding 16 new gates to Concourse A. And
Heck yeah.
Expanding the runways. They're hoping to have direct flights to Asia from Nashville.
Heck yeah. I mean, we got the Aer Lingus. We got the direct flights to Ireland. So why not, man? We're big time in it. And we got that tunnel coming, Jay. I don't think that tunnel's flooding either, I think it's okay. Some were concerned that the tunnel was going to flood, and they're making some great progress on that tunnel, by the way. I don't know if you've seen some of the progress shots, but with all of this rain, if it has survived some of the rain that's happening now, I expect that it will continue to survive. The Real Tennessee. Someone said that's a T-shirt, and I said, "What is?" And they said, "Whatever you just said about Real Tennessee's beyond." Yeah, no, Real Tennessee is beyond Briley Parkway, y'all. It's not inside of Briley Parkway. Learn that. I mean, look, I'm not saying that people that live in Nashville aren't good folk. Many of them are good people. They think a little bit differently than the rest of us, but that's all well and good. That's fine. Different strokes for different folks. We just need to remind the folks that are coming here from other parts of the world and other parts of the country that you're coming here for a reason. You're coming here because you like the way that things are here. Things are here the way they are here because of the way that we vote, and because of the way that we insist our government interact with our citizens. And part of the reason that I push back on stuff like the Starbucks stuff is that I just don't think that's very conservative government. That's just me. By the way, how's the voting going? Before I get to Mike, have you looked at voting yet? I have not. I need to look at voting so that we can see who's winning. Because I'm reminded, considering that Jack was on with us earlier today, that Judge Johnson wants a victory, wants to know who won. Mike!
How you doing, Matt?
Hey, Mike.
Are you ready for tomorrow's big blue wave in California and the state of Maine?
Oh, what do you think's going to happen? You think Graham Plattner is going to pull out victory tomorrow?
No, he's going to lose. It's going to be a blue wave. It's going to be the same old socialist Democrat. We get all built up. The media builds us up. We got a chance out there in California. Nah, it's not even going to be close. And so that state is going to stay blue, deep blue, and get even bluer. State of Maine is the same thing. We got this guy with his so-called wife and sex texts and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. It's going to go blue. And then Donald Trump himself says, I didn't know he stopped the negotiations with Iran, but then all of a sudden, 2,400 missiles from Hezbollah, supported by Iran, attacked northern Israel in the last 2 days. A bunch of drones and missiles, and then Iran says, we're shutting the strait down again, and Trump says, I'm worried about all these groups that are not going to come to the 250 extravaganza. Let's have some music and stuff. So
hey,
what the hell is going on?
Are you saying that, I'm a little confused. Are you saying that Maine is a blue state?
Maine is going to go blue once Susan Collins, because look, that guy that, my wife, and did you watch the interview? I'm not going to go there.
You talking about Plattner's interview?
It's going to be blue. Maine's blue, and California's blue, and guess what? We're going to see. Did you watch how Donald Trump has been winning 100% of his endorsements?
Yeah.
But then Donald Trump says, I didn't know we weren't negotiating with Iran. When Iran has been violating the firing missiles at Kuwait and into northern Israel through Hezbollah. And that makes Donald Trump look like maybe Donald Trump's got the Biden system. Is Donald Trump? He doesn't know what he's doing. Joe Biden comes out and says, gee, I didn't know my husband was having an attack. And now we got Donald Trump saying, gee, I'm going to get rid of the 250, all these entertainers, because I want it my way. So it sounds like we got an out-of-control president. What do you think?
Mike, I appreciate your calls, and I appreciate this one. I don't think I understand anything you just said. It might be the heat in this room has gotten to my brain finally, because it's 160 degrees in here. If anyone listening in the audience understands what Mike just said, would you let me know via text, and I'll try to relate it. Maine is probably more Democrat than Republican, but Maine has a Republican senator and an independent senator that caucuses with Democrats. I understand Angus King is unreliable as an independent, but Susan Collins is a squish Republican, but a Republican nonetheless. 31 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
"32 minutes now past 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get to a traffic report, and we'll also get to a weather forecast for you. The first operational cross-border tunnel to be discovered since 2022 has been found in San Diego, and it comes from Mexico. ABC's Alex Stone, he's in Southern California.
The tunnel, which Mexican authorities initially said was almost 900 feet long, U.S. authorities say is actually almost 2,000 feet long and 55 feet deep, stretching from Tijuana into a fake retail store in San Diego. 4 alleged cartel members who were followed, federal agents say, taking drugs out of the tunnel have been arrested. Kevin Murphy with Homeland Security Investigations.
This was a sophisticated tunnel that had lighting, ventilation, an electric rail system, wood shoring, and multiple staircases.
He says around $45 million worth of cocaine was seized involving the tunnel.
We now turn to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He's vowing to appeal a ruling that found the Pentagon's transgender soldier ban was unconstitutional. ABC's Peter Haralambous, he has more.
The ruling comes nearly 16 months after a group of transgender soldiers first sued to block the Pentagon's ban. In a 2-1 decision today, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals found the policy was likely unconstitutional and, quote, appears to be driven by the bare desire to harm a politically unpopular group. While the decision barred the Pentagon from expelling transgender soldiers, the court did allow the ban on transgender recruits from joining the military. In response to today's ruling, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth wrote on social media, "See you at the Supreme Court."
We now turn to today's closing money news with Michelle Franzen.
Even as oil prices begin to tick up, all 3 major indexes managed to close in the green to start the week, with the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also hitting new intraday highs. The Dow ended the day gaining 0.9%, with the NASDAQ up 0.42% and the S&P 0.26%. In the battle of fast food, McDonald's unveiled a new global strategy for their stores to increase satisfaction and bring in customers looking for the best value for their buck. Some of their improvements include increased automation, menu innovation, and improved customer service in an attempt to redefine hospitality for consumers. Artificial intelligence company Anthropic is now one step closer to its goal on Wall Street, confirming Monday it submitted a confidential filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for a proposed initial public offering of its common stock.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, we have started to kind of clear out pretty well, actually, but there are still a few issues. Annex Avenue at Charlotte Pike, we have a crash. Briley Parkway northbound, just past exit 25. Stalled vehicle there. It's been pushed over to the right shoulder. Harding Place at Nolensville Pike, a wreck reported. And they are still trying to clear the right lane of I-24 eastbound before exit 4 up in Clarksville due to an earlier accident. I'm Jay Harper.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. That's not just a slogan. It's the way they do their business because they are a direct pay format facility. That means that when you stop by their shop in Franklin, Tennessee, and I would encourage anyone within the sound of my voice, it is well worth the drive because of the level of service that you get, the fact that you don't have to wait a long time to schedule an appointment. You don't have to wait a long time when you actually get to the facility. I mean, you sit down in the waiting room, you get a 2 o'clock appointment, they take you at 2 o'clock. Why, in these other places, have you ever wondered why, if I have a 2 o'clock, am I waiting until 3 o'clock or after to see the doctor? That doesn't make any sense. They don't do it at Grace Point Healthcare. They don't believe in it. They also don't believe in allowing the insurance company to make decisions that doctors and your healthcare providers ought to be making. And they don't allow that to happen. That's why you can file with your insurance company for reimbursement after the fact, but they are a direct pay facility. Now, that keeps prices low for you. You know exactly what their services cost. And if you sign up for the Smart Care plan, you pay a monthly fee. You come as many times as you'd like over the course of the year, plus free basic labs and diagnostics. This is the way we need to do it. This is the way for the future, friends. It's Grace Point Healthcare. It's why I say modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. 599-6868. 599-6868. Give them a call today. Tell them Murphy sent you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Big announcement, big winner. I'd like to congratulate.
Oh, it's not me.
Jay Harper.
Yes, even though I apparently disgusted many people.
You're the big winner, Jay.
Yeah, I know. But, I saw the YouTube voting there, and at one point I was at like 54%, but it went down to 47. So
still the winner.
Yeah.
Winner, Jay Chicken Dinner.
Yeah, well, I do apologize. That was kind of a tacky story, but I just thought that was, I don't know, man. It just amazes me the stupid stuff that people do.
Jay, never apologize for bringing the armpit thunder.
Oh man,
on Nincompoops.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You do understand that at some point last month, Jackson Williams convinced me to do a Nincompoop story about a woman that stuck a wine bottle up her hiney.
Yeah.
Was not her hiney.
Yep. I was.
Oh, that's right.
I was here for that one.
Oh, that's right. You were. Yeah. So you remember. Yep. It was up her prison wallet. As they say.
You know what it's time for?
It's time for Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem. Hollywood. Okay, I always get that. I always do that prematurely. There's a little build-up with our version of, here we go. Hooray for Hollywood. It is time for Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem, where we pay off the movie that was watched over the course of the weekend on Fridays normally. This time it was Thursday because we were out on Friday. We select a film. You vote on the film that we will consume over the weekend, and we come back with a robust review of said same. Now, typically the movies that we select, either I've not seen, Jackson hasn't seen, or both of us have not seen. In this case, you selected the fabulous feature film John Wick, which, believe it or not, Jackson Williams had never seen.
You selected it.
Well, no, the audience.
Oh, the audience. I thought you were looking at me. That's my fault.
No. No, the audience selected it. I'm talking to the folks who ultimately picked the film. I nominated it. They picked it as the big winner. Jackson, I have a lot of thoughts on this movie, but I'm curious to get yours first.
Don't mess with that guy's dog.
No, man. Don't mess with his dog. I once watched him kill 3 men with a pencil. With a bleeping pencil!
My favorite was he's the guy. He's scared, or the boogeyman's scared of him.
Uh-huh. He's the guy that they hire to kill the boogeyman. John Wick is not to be trifled with. He is a man of dedication, of focus, of particular skills. It just gets better from there, Jackson. So, yeah, don't kill the dude's dog. Otherwise, you know what?
Puppy was so cute.
I hate it. So, I've told the story in the past. E and I watched that film together, and I don't know why she wanted to watch it with me, but she did. I mean, we knew what we were getting into. It was kind of a blood and guts thing. She can't stand movies where people get shot and killed and all of that, the violent.
This is a horrible movie to watch.
No, she was all about it. And that's why I think the puppy at the beginning was brilliant, because she's like, kill them all. Kill them all. Kill all of them. Every single one of them that had anything to do with any of this, or is anybody covering this up, all of them need to die. One in the gut, one in the head, which is what happened. Do you understand what I was talking about watching a video game?
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's different levels, different environments he's fighting through, and a lot of it's just mindless action fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good time.
Such a good time. All's well that ends well.
The lighting effects are really cool, like the neon specifically looks really good.
It changed the way that, I mean, in the same way that The Matrix changed some filming, John Wick did the same, both obviously starring Keanu Reeves. Just gets better from John Wick 1. I mean, if you like John Wick 2 is better, John Wick 3 is great, John Wick 4, I mean, at some point
They're doing a 5th one.
Are they really?
Yeah.
At some point I thought he died. No, spoiler. I think he dies in the 4th one, right? Doesn't he? Spoiler alert.
Well, now I'm not going to watch 2, 3, and 4.
My bad.
I'm going to give it a score here while you trip all over yourself.
I didn't mean to. I mean, I feel like if you're a John Wick fan, you probably already knew.
8.6 out of 11.7 Jacksons.
I'm going to go ahead and give it 14 bananas out of 26 Murphys. No, it was a great film. if you enjoy that type of thing, you'll absolutely love it. Keanu Reeves did a lot of gun training at Tarrant Tactical for the John Wick movies. He's really good at guns now. He's legit. I've heard the same thing. All around good guy. Did you know that in the comic book, John Wick is supposed to be like in his 60s? Well, I mean, he's not necessarily a young buck in the films either. And by the way, one of our loyal listeners has leaving your pride at the door, Jackson. I don't know what that means, Jackson, but someone is suggesting that you've left your pride at the door. Maybe that is in relation to you losing the Nincompoops trophy, potentially.
Well, it did. I had to take some things off to be able to work in this hot environment, so I left it at the door.
Oh, I see what
took off my pride, my coat, my sweater,
your britches. Yeah, I see what you did there. At the same time, 9655 says, Matt, here's a pic of John Wick's car that was used in the movie. It's obvious that it was crashed when he stole it back from the Russians in the beginning of the second film. This is in my shop outside of Murfreesboro and is available for rental if anyone wants to. What? I mean, it doesn't run, does it?
Is it
run?
drivable?
I don't know. It looks pretty cool. It's got a little stuffed dog on the dash. Yeah.
That little beagle puppy. I was like, go get him. Get him now.
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, we almost turned it off. I mean, I almost turned the movie off. Because you know me, I'm a dog lover, and I know you are too.
I texted you. I said, why the hell did you not warn me?
I can't, you'll get it. It was the last thing his wife left him.
Yep.
Yeah. You can steal his car, but...
Yeah, take his car.
But his dog... Oh, such a good film. Anyway, that's how we play the Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem. Matt Murphy movie reviews happen on these Mondays after we watch the films over the weekend. And you'll nominate another film on Friday. And I think we'll be going to the theater at some point this weekend. If we can schedule it, we got to talk about it before Friday. We're going to nominate 4 movies currently in the cinema, and then we'll decide. And, frankly...
There's one I'm throwing out there I've already decided.
And what is that?
Sheep Detectives.
What? Sheep Detectives?
I've heard great things.
It's in the theater?
Yep.
Right now?
Yep.
Is it like a Wallace and Gromit type deal?
I don't know.
Is it like claymation?
No.
Stop motion? No? Okay. Sheep, it's animated?
I don't know.
You don't know anything but the name?
I just know there is a movie in theaters called Sheep Detectives, and I've heard great things.
Okay. I've been told that we should include The Devil Wears Prada.
No.
I don't think that's happening. And
I haven't seen the first one, so I'd be lost personally.
And Breadwinner, some of the listeners said that they went this weekend and they were not fans. Jackson? I don't know what to do with that, but I mean, that stars our buddy, Nate Bargatze. That stars... Brian Bates is in it.
Is Dusty in it?
Someone told me that Dusty might have a cameo. If y'all have seen Breadwinner, is our man Dusty Slay? Because I think Bates and another guy that was on the Nate Len podcast, I forget his name, they played garbage men. Maybe Dusty was driving the garbage truck. I don't know. If Dusty is, we're having a trash time. We're having trash time. We love Dusty.
It's a hot show today.
We are it was a hot show today, wasn't it?
Very.
I mean, literally, it was a hot show. For those just joining us, we've had no AC and a lot of lights, and it is rather steamy in here.
I'm sweating.
And that's not even including us getting into it with Jack Johnson about the $30 million Starbucks deal. Getting into it being a relative term. It's 10 until the top of the hour. We're going to wrap things up in just a moment. New Jersey had quite a weekend. Plus, Democrats defend Graham Plattner to the very bitter end. It's next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, this past Saturday, it was the annual open house at the Glock store, and hundreds, if not thousands, of people stopped by. It was an absolute packed house. The fire marshal had to keep people moving, otherwise he would have had to shut it down. That's how packed it was. I hope that we saw you there. If not, there's always next year. Firearm training the right way happens in the Shoot 270 rooms at the Glock store. Now, they gave away tens of thousands of dollars. $50,000 or thereabouts of various merchandise, including Glocks. I mean, it was just incredible. It was a wonderful event. Cabana wife sold out of her cookies. We were there in all of our glory, and we shook a lot of hands and talked to a lot of folks. And I appreciate each of you walking up to us and telling us that you enjoy the Matt Murphy Show and Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the Glock store and everything they bring to the table. Lenny McGill is so good at what he does, and we're so lucky to have him in Nashville and in the state of Tennessee. Training is very important. Real-life situations. We talked a little about the Glock store simunition, the Glock simunitions that occur, and they're about to crank those programs up. And find out more at glockstore.com. That's glockstore.com. But thank you to all of you that stopped by the incredible open house celebration of the Glock store, their 6th anniversary here. It will be bigger and better than ever next year. Can't wait for that. And I appreciate all of you for being there. Shoot270.com is a great place to go and find out more about the Glock store, glockstore.com for the one and only Glock store.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you've got a little bit of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit. We have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you'll have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.
All right, I got to tell you. I mean, there's some pretty good movies out. I mean, I'm all in on Backrooms, one way or the other. I think Backrooms is I'm fascinated by liminal spaces, right? Liminal spaces. The creepy factor. Y'all know what liminal spaces are? They're like places that are normally full and have a lot of people in them and have a lot of stuff in them. But when you see them empty, like, for example, a liminal space would be a mall that has been closed down and you see the leftovers of the shelving, but all of the items are off the shelves and there's no people in there anymore. Like a closed mall is a liminal space where you walk through and it's just there's a creepy factor to it. Backrooms is a play off of that, so I'm excited about that. But, Jackson, you brought up the Sheep Detectives. I've looked up the basic plot. I'm all in. It's live action. Hugh Jackman stars as the shepherd. It has the voice talents of Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Bryan Cranston, Chris O'Dowd, Regina Hall, Patrick Stewart, Bella Ramsey, Brett Goldstein. Here's the plot. You ready? A shepherd reads, I guess he bides his time by reading murder mysteries to his sheep. He is mysteriously killed, and the sheep decide to solve the crime themselves.
I'm telling you, I've heard it's excellent.
The Sheep Detectives.
What's it rated?
Well, I mean, it's a comedy mystery. 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got to be a PG, right? I don't know, but it's got to be PG. It's a family film. It says it's a family film, so it may be G. It looks like, it's widely considered to be a delightful film. Critics and audiences alike praise it as an original, deeply charming, and heartfelt film that masterfully blends a cozy English village murder mystery with surprising emotional depth. A mix of Babe and Knives Out. Well,
I'm interested.
You had me at hello. I mean, Knives Out, good. Babe's
never seen
good.
Knives Out.
What? All right, got to put it on the list.
Is it on Netflix still?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would imagine. Knives Out's a great film. Great film. You have to, it's one of those that you have to kind of, you have to pause and like try to, I mean, it's a complex plot, but Benoit Blanc figures it out. 615, no, why am I giving the telephone number? I'm trying to wrap up the show today, and I've got to tell you, Jackson, if I didn't know any better, I'd feel like the AC has come on. No, not in there? Feeling better in here, just in time for the show to end. From the surface of the sun, this has been the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yeah, the Knives Out stuff is fabulous. 3449 says, oh, it's great. Yeah, no, it is. Knives Out's the first one's good. Glass Onion was good, too. I've not seen, I think there's a third one in this series that I've not seen.
Might watch it after I hit the showers after the show.
Yeah, we got to go wash up, get ready. 20 hours of cool rest and relaxation, and we're back after it at 3 o'clock tomorrow for our Tuesday edition. Until then, for Jay Harper, for the ill Ken Weaver, for Jackson Williams, Matt Murphy speaking and saying, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.